From the Smith Radio Studios, it's Carrie and Brian Smith. This is Smith Radio. You can tweet at Smith Radio, SMYTH Radio. And now, your hosts, Carrie and Brian Smith.
Good evening, everybody. I'm here with the MAGA hat, just trying to trigger any trolls that decide to come on early on in the show.
Wow, that is dangerous. dangerous.
Nowadays. Can you hear yourself all right?
No.
Okay. Oh, there I go.
Everybody can hear us okay, though. I can tell by the level. So
fantastic. Hey, welcome to Smith Radio, Military Veteran Talk Radio. If this is the first time you've been on the show, welcome. We got a lot of new folks and new patrons. Welcome to the show. If you jump over, just real quick, SmithTV.com, jump over, become a Patreon or subscribe, whatever method that you use, you can be a part of our Smith Radio Message Meetup group. It's a private group where you can talk with Carrie, myself, and all the great Smith Radio Patreons 24/7.
Yeah, it acts as a 24/7 MAGA meetup, like ongoing for all time, and everybody just discusses the current topics, and it is a lot of fun. And actually, it's been the source for some information that you hear on Smith Radio, so you can actually contribute to the show directly in that way. It's very interesting and a lot of fun and worth every penny, I'm telling you.
Yes, and so when I say Military Veteran Talk Radio, back in the 90s, Carrie was in the Marine Corps, and back in the 90s, I was in the Air Force. Carrie's my cousin. We've been talking politics for probably the last 15, 20 years. Our families, when we get together at the holidays, the Christmas, the Easter, the birthday parties, Thanksgiving, it's all politics all day. It's all politics all day. This was the first politician, if you will, Donald Trump, the first president that I know of, or any political, where the entire family, even, some of our union family members that were down with Clinton back in 2008, some of our family members that voted for Barack Obama, I'm telling you, the whole family is pretty much – I don't know anybody in the family that did not vote for Donald Trump, and that's a first.
Which is amazing because there are a few family members that I thought were just gone when it comes to politics, and it caused a little bit of trouble with the –
Yeah, it did.
But these days, I think that – back in the Bush days, the Bush presidency – so this is prior to Obama. This is a long time ago. That was the last throes of – people believing what they heard on the news.
Right, absolutely. And that's what created Smith Radio, folks. We expose the fake news, give you the real news, telling you about what they're trying to say to you, the message you're trying to convey. Not only that, but some of the things you might not heard Donald Trump tweet. If you can't hear a tweet, we'll give you those tweets because I know there's a lot of folks that listen to the show that are not on Twitter, and that's fine.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing to me because once I got into Twitter and started really getting to the point where I had an actual following and I was engaging with people that I would not have met if it wasn't for Twitter, I almost feel like to me, it's like Facebook in that everybody's there. But then you find out the numbers really aren't there. There's a lot of people out in the world that just are not on Twitter. And I don't fault you.
No, I don't fault you at all. And you definitely have to have ADD, and you have to understand Twitter. Yes, it is a barrage of information.
There's a learning curve.
But and you got to ignore a lot of stuff. But anyways, and real quick before I get too far into it, this is the new Smith Radio MAGA calendar, if you will, the 2019 calendars. There are still a few left. It's a tribute to our greatest president we've ever had, Donald J. Trump, and that is January right there. And so what I did with my daughter, she helped me out, my oldest daughter.
Beautiful stuff.
Bailey, happy birthday, Bailey, last week. So she helped me put it together. We got it out, and our Patreons have got it, and they've given thumbs up. They're really excited. They love it, love it, love it. So go SmithTV.com and get yours. Today we welcome a very special guest, Jacob Engels, at Jacob Engels. If you check the show notes, his handle's down there as well. Before I get too far into it, also in the show notes, a lot of links, a lot of information, a lot of great stuff. So scroll down. Some of the people that we've partnered with in this MAGA movement. Folks, this Donald Trump MAGA movement has to continue after 2024. You got to understand Donald Trump will not be president forever. We've got to take the reins. We've got to run with this. And what we're doing is we're all partnering up, all the writers, MAGA speakers, MAGA influencers, everybody, and we're under the big tent of at New Right Network. at New Right Network. That's the big tent where you can find everybody. So when somebody says to you, hey, where do I find real news? Say, at New Right Network. Everybody's there. Smith Radio's there. Wayne Dupree's there. Deanna Lorraine's there.
And it's going to grow. It's going to grow for sure. I think it's awesome. But one thing that should we talk about that crazy social network that they're building over there?
That we are a part of at Brian and at Carrie.
And that's mobile.co. I highly, highly recommend it. It's mandatory. It's mandatory.
Yes.
I'm not recommending it. If you're not going to go to mobile.co right now and sign up for your account, just turn us off right now.
Right.
Just turn us off.
It's free. It's free.
It's totally free. And it feels a lot similar to Twitter, but without the oppressive Big Brother stuff that you see from Orwellian novels of the Cold War era.
1984.
Right.
Right, without a doubt. So big special guest at the bottom of the hour. Also, we're going to talk about Donald Trump's capitalist 2 years of capitalism being reintroduced into America. What does that mean for making America great again versus hashtag Elizabeth Warren is trending right now in America. She's trending, I think it was like 4th in America. It's policies of yesteryear once again regurgitated. So we'll get into that.
She's trying to implement the fictional novel of George Orwell.
What's amazing to me, and we're going to touch on Venezuela as well, what's amazing to me, as we watch Venezuela implode in real time, we got Democrats still trying to implement come on.
We're going to try to educate the masses here so that we don't go down this same path of repeating history over and over and over again. And it will make the world a better place. That's going to be what I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to. How about you?
Absolutely. And we got Austin Fletcher, who's man on the street.
Yeah, he's the what name does he go by? That's his real name, by the way, Austin Fletcher. But I think he has another name, a handle with social media. I can't remember what it was. But just to he's the guy with the beard that does the interviews with, I believe, a hockey jersey on, maybe,
yeah.
and a wooden spoon, and sometimes maybe a spatula or something.
I think he's got more professional.
Oh, he's got more. Okay. Well, people remember because for a long time that's what he would do. He'd have like a wooden spoon with a lapel mic at the end with the wire twisted around, and then he would stick it in your face, and it was like you had a spoon in your face, but actually it was his microphone.
Dude, that's too good. So he hits the Women's March.
Okay.
And he starts to talk to him and ask him about what's going on.
He's a good interviewer. He's a good man on the street type of person because he comes off as professional in the way that he comes at you verbally.
Right.
But he does look like, who the heck is this guy? Like some guy just walking up to you.
And he's not Tucker Carlson like.
He's very approachable.
Yes.
He's the type of person that you would feel comfortable talking to. He's like, seems like the last person in the world that would be ambushing you.
Right. Tucker Carlson is very, very nice and brings you on the show.
Yeah, he's got that look like.
But he will destroy you with your own words. However, Austin, he allows you to keep going.
Oh,
until you realize that you have just destroyed yourself.
He makes it sound like he is agreeing with you or not disagreeing with you by silence. Like, or sometimes it's in his tone. His tone comes off as he's agreeing with you. So
yeah.
I love it. He's good at that.
So we've got that, as well as a bunch of things for the schedule. We're going to try a new a platform, a new format, if you will, with Smith Radio. We're going to try to do on the 30s. Every 30 minutes, we're going to change up to a new subject and try and stay on track that way. I apologize.
Whoa, that's going to take some massive discipline.
If this is the first time on the show, this is a show for folks who got ADD.
We should have called this the Squirrel Network because we're always like, we will go off on a tangent. Like one word, we'll be talking about, we could talk about Roger Stone, and then we'll say something about a sentence could appear in something we're talking about in Roger Stone, and it will cause us to start to talk about that one thing. And it could end up being unrelated to Roger Stone. And then we'll go off a couple more iterations.
Tabloids. And then all of a sudden we'd be talking about Diana and the real person who murdered her, which is out in tabloids today.
I know. We'll get better at that. I got yelled at by my sister for doing that too.
Folks, restraint. It takes a lot of strength for us to do this, I promise, but we'll do it. So we're going to talk about Donald Trump reopens the government. What does that mean? What is that all about? What are the details behind it? See, here's the thing, folks. We're going to talk about these topics, and we're going to give you all the details that a lot of people are glossing over because they don't want you to know, and they want to make Trump look bad.
Plus, I think we're going to stay on our theme from day one with Smith Radio, and that is to give you our take that we feel is the right way to go. I mean, everybody, it's an opinion. Other people have opinions, but I'll tell you, there are some takes on this opening up of the government that I just think are way out there, and we're going to set the record straight.
I'm even going to go out and call out my good friend Jim Hoff.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, we love him, but sometimes, a little emotional. And
emotions get flared up.
Yeah.
You start getting flares.
It's okay. But we don't have to all agree on everything.
But you start getting flares. I mean, what are you going to do? You got to put the fire out. All right. So, and we're also going to talk about the Covington Catholic schoolboys. What has happened with that? What's transpired? Who's transgressed? Who's walked it back? Who hasn't? And for those of you who haven't walked it back, what's going to happen to you? Then we're going to get into the Venezuela situation and how horribly wrong it's gone. Prager University had a woman from Venezuela do a 5-minute clip, and we've played that on our show before. And she says, "My beloved Venezuela," and she goes through all the details. There's some young kid, about 17 years old, took her video and plays parts of it and then cuts it and then commentates on it and says that I can completely debunk her. And it's just sad. It's just so sad because he's so wrong and so misguided. But we're going to get into that.
Right. And by the way, I got to throw this out there too. Brian, of all the people that I follow closely on social media when it comes to the MAGA movement, when it comes to politics in general, Brian is at the top of the list of people that's following and understanding and able to explain the Venezuela stuff. So if you have any interest to learn what's really going on in Venezuela, Brian's got this stuff down. He's been talking about it. Sometimes we'll be talking about Venezuela when it was just kind of a small little news thing, and he'll go on and on in great detail, which is great. And it's like, okay, well, Brian's really interested in this. Well, now that it's big news,
again,
Brian is the one that we need to be listening to today.
And the only reason why, and it's the same reason why I got into learning about Hugo Chavez and why Cuba is the way it is, and that has to do with the Batista regime that raped and pillaged the country, so much so that the capitalist from America closed up shop and left because of the corruption of the government.
By the way, I work with one, so we'll have to talk about him.
And we referred to this individual as Cubacom. She was a Cuban communist sympathizer, and as soon as we came back to Cincinnati, she felt like she was gonna flip my wife and bring her in the fold,
turn her into a
Cuban
a good comrade.
Yes.
Good comrade.
And so I dove down that rabbit hole to debunk it, and all of a sudden come to find out, folks, there's nothing different. It's all the same script, just rewritten with different names.
Right.
We're also going to get into 5 failed promises from Lenin to Chavez, and then something we haven't done in a long time. And we need to constantly remind, especially new folks that come on the show, top 10 most evil dictators of all time.
We've done that several times, and it doesn't get old.
In order of kill count. Now, I've limited it. I've just cut it down to 6 because some of the other ones are obscure.
We did like a top 10, yeah.
They're so obscure you don't, and it's not important, but the big names you'll know, and number 1 will shock you. I promise you that because you think you know who number 1 is.
Oh, and by the way, now that I'm kind of glancing at your notes right now, if you've listened to us long enough to have remembered us go through this list before, we're going to have different takes this time because the last time we did this list was before the Dinesh D'Souza movie enlightened us on some things, and so we'll have different takes on it.
Yep, absolutely. And then obviously, we got to hammer down on the Friday dump, early morning dawn raid, way before the dawn. raid with massive firepower.
I don't even
weapons
think,
of war. Seriously, war weapons.
Yeah.
Crews to get
fire teams
to get the most infamous evil.
Well, he's so smart. He could have just totally reversed the script on him.
Right, and it's
kind of like that movie Kung Fu Panda, where the bad guy had all those. He had the entire prison set up just for him. He was the only inmate,
right?
I think,
right.
And he had all these chains on him, and he had this special thing that was holding his body together, and chains so he couldn't move. And he had guards and a moat, and they were like, he's not going to escape from here.
Nothing can escape.
And one little thing happens, and it leads to a series of events that allows him to not only escape, but pretty much destroy the entire facility. All the people in there. And so maybe they were thinking that this guy that was raided on Friday was so cunning and so elite and so intelligent and such a mastermind that could happen.
Don't call his lawyer that we've already been involved with.
Mm-hmm.
Don't call his lawyer and ask him if he can show up for an interview. Don't do that.
And don't the fact that we know what his whole history is as far as dealing with law enforcement, we have to be careful because he set his whole life up in order for this one ambush.
Yes. No, he was planning for this ambush his entire life.
Yep.
He could have had his house booby-trapped. It could have been Home Alone. Seriously. Hot oil and burning hot doorknobs.
They should make a movie about that, but instead of it going down the way it did actually go down, make it a Home Alone.
Carpe Dunkum. If you're listening, you've got to do a Roger Stone Home Alone
with the law enforcement.
With law enforcement.
Oh, totally. Like not just those robber guys, but I mean they've got to have AR-15s or M16s on them. You got to paste them on them,
right?
Because they were fully.
So we're going to get to that, and Judge Janine had a few words to say about that. And then, as depressing as it sounds, folks, we absolutely have to talk about. We've got to bring this up and talk about this because I feel like it's going in the wrong direction. Roe v. Wade and the right to murder.
Oh, yeah. Well, in the past, and I actually enjoy this, in the past, when it comes to radio, TV, anything, or just debate at the town hall or the town square, you're supposed to just never bring up abortion. In fact,
it's the third rail of politics. It'll burn you.
Mark Levin's like, we don't even wait. Let me tell you something, Mr. Producer.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, Mr. Producer. Cut to go. Now he'll say, we don't bring up abortion anymore. We don't bring it up anymore. Because every time we do, we get some nut jobs calling, and he just goes on and on. And
nut jobs calling into a show.
Yeah, and so he doesn't even want to talk. Nobody wants to talk about it. And you know what? The fact that that's kind of changed now, where people are like, let's have a real discussion about this. And the main reason why is because the fact that we actually are involved in a full-blown Holocaust is the reality. And in the past, it was kind of like the perception was that this wasn't a Holocaust. This was just a couple cells that was the belief of a lot of Americans. So it kind of made the ones that were calling you a murderer for having an abortion seem a little bit on the extreme. But now I feel that it's shifted.
Well, if you're raped and you're pregnant because of the rape, women need to be able to abort that carry.
Yeah, that's the part that everybody always avoids.
Oh, you cannot discuss that whatsoever. Incest, cannot discuss that whatsoever. If you find out, if the doctor says, and we have a very close friend of ours from California. She was pregnant at the time my wife was pregnant, and she found out from the doctor that there was a 98% chance her son was going to be born with Down syndrome based on both of their DNA.
What?
Yes, they do
I
a DNA.
wouldn't buy that.
They do this DNA and they map it and they look at the child and they claim they have the ability to call out Down syndrome before the child is born.
How arrogant of a doctor would you have to be, or a scientist, a geneticist, whatever it might be? How arrogant would you have to be able to look a mother in the face and make that prediction?
So she
crazy.
carried the baby full term, gave birth to a healthy, bouncing baby boy. He's as rambunctious as any boy you know.
Okay.
Just a regular crazy boy.
How crazy?
Well, not too crazy. But I'm just saying, I know a personal example.
So the doctor was trying to convince this person to have an abortion.
Right, absolutely.
Isn't that the same as like a wife soliciting a hitman to kill her husband?
Well, that's okay, Carrie.
That's okay?
Some of those guys really need to go away.
Oh, gosh.
No, but and my other point is, too, I've got a great pastor that we go to church with, and he's truth to power from this guy. I've learned a lot, and one of his talks, there's a family in our audience that has a child with Down syndrome, and he's in his late 20s. His older brother doesn't and is a pastor at another church. But this younger brother is still at home in his 20s and will be for the rest of his life. Wears headphones into church, and sometimes you can hear him, yelling out. But nonetheless, that's their baby.
Right.
That's their boy. And if you talk to them, it is their calling. And that has changed them personally, as human beings, has changed them as human beings to help others.
And I've seen that with every other family that has those challenges every time. It's like when you look at it from the outside, you might think, oh, we should pray for that family because they're hurting and struggling, all that kind of stuff. And what an unfortunate thing. But from their perspective, it's like this is their child. They love this child. And so it's very weird that people cannot put themselves in other shoes. I guess maybe not if they've never had children or something like that, where they have trouble being able to empathize with the family correctly, in my opinion. Right. Which is that this is their loved one.
And the reason why we're bringing this up is because now 2020 is upon us, and the Democrats are throwing out a slew of candidates, every one of them just coming out with the craziest of crazy. All of them, it's a race to the bottom of the heap. It is a race to the worst ideas, the worst notions. It is a race to literally be the worst candidate. And so Elizabeth Warren trending because she wants a 90% tax on people making $50 million or more, but don't touch her $10 million worth.
She's trending because of that yacht
tweet.
The
yacht tweet. And then then New York, Governor Cuomo, whose brother, Cuomo on...
I think it's cousin. I thought it was brother too, but I saw somebody tweet cousin, but maybe it's brother.
Family members.
Family members,
Cuomo on CNN. Mm-hmm. Digress. They're both crazy leftist libtards, and apparently New York has now passed legislation that okays for you to rip a child out of a mother's womb into the 9th month, which is unheard of for acceptability.
Until the day that it's born.
Well, that's what Hillary Clinton said during the campaign, during the debate, the last debate. And Donald Trump went graphic, he went truth, and he went graphic. And I really, truly believe that when he went down that road, a road that Mitt Romney would never touch, John McCain would never touch, he went down that road to expose the Democrats and what they're willing to do. That's a win. Because human nature is, murder? Babies? No, babies are precious. Human nature is that way. And so we don't want to have that. We don't want anything to do with it. So Cuomo tweeted out, or Cuomo in an interview said, all you pro-lifers, you're not welcome here in our state.
He really said that?
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, unbelievable.
And on
they're just baby killers, but
right. And on the flip side, Texas passed Texas actually won a lawsuit And the suit had to do with Planned Parenthood and funding Planned Parenthood for abortions. And the judge ruled that the state of Texas did not have to go ahead and give Planned Parenthood they can remove Planned Parenthood from the Medicaid. Yeah, not Medicare. Medicaid for the poor people. And the money for the poor, the health insurance for poor people, not Obamacare. Medicaid, right. That Texas can withhold that funding and not let Planned Parenthood have it. Which I'm excited. That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Huge, big win.
Wow. I just can't believe that this is going on. There's so many things broken with our country.
I had a video of a doctor who was a former abortion doctor who was up on Capitol Hill and actually testifies before House Judiciary Committee. There's no visuals. It's not graphic as a visual, but on Twitter it said warning, graphic. He describes how you have to take a baby that's in its second trimester, which is 14 to 24 weeks old. So it's a couple months, 3 months. How do you remove that? How do you abort that? Eddie, he goes into detail. I had the video, and I'm telling you, I was going to warn everybody, but I'm telling you right now, it's so awful, I can't do it. It's as bad as some of the beheading videos I've heard.
And I feel like we'd be preaching to the choir for the most part. I would maybe we can offer it to share with people that are pro-choice or pro-abortion. There's also I make the distinction between pro-choice and pro-abortion, even though normally you don't. But.
He goes into step by step on how to remove all the pieces.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's rough, but it's true, and he testified about that. So with that being said, let's get on a happy note. Let's get out of the abortion arena. I'm done with Cuomo. I'm done with the libtards. I'm done with New York. We got our very, very special guest on with us. Welcome, Jacob. How are you? Welcome to Smith Radio.
I'm doing great, guys. How are you doing?
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I'll set the video up while you get the audio going.
All right. Jacob, how's it going? This is Kerry Smith. You can almost not see me. I'm kind of off to the side there. But so Jacob Engels, tell us a little bit about yourself. You are a contributor to InfoWars, and you are a longtime friend of Roger. And am I missing anything?
No, I'm an independent publisher. I run my own website, centralfloridapost.com. Contribute to InfoWars and Gateway Pundit. You got it right.
Okay, so what is going on with Roger?
So currently, right now, we're kind of in this weird in-between period. He has a hearing on Tuesday in D.C. where we will find out just how far Robert Mueller's going to push the envelope on this. He already had his Gestapo-style pre-dawn raid that is more fitting for El Chapo or Pablo Escobar, not a 66-year-old political consultant. So on Tuesday, in D.C., we will find out if this judge is going to try and throw Stone in jail, gag order, and what kind of other tricks Mr. Mueller is up to.
Have you had a chance to talk to him since he's been out of jail or since he's had this raid on him?
Absolutely, and he is in high spirits. The thing about Roger Stone is he performs best under extreme stress and under these scenarios. People think that you're going to get Roger off track, or he's going to turn on Trump, or he's going to melt under this pressure. It's the exact opposite.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I noticed that when they're talking about him on all the mainstream media outlets, even Fox News, they're all calling it pretty much unprecedented that somebody with these kind of charges leveled at him would come out and speak on his own without a lawyer. What do you think? I mean, you're friends with him. What is is he like this special legal guy that's able to avoid the pitfalls of coming out and speaking publicly when you're under indictment, or what do you think the strategy is there?
Well, basic thing is he's not done anything wrong, and he's very well acquainted with the truth as it applies to what we're seeing with this Mueller investigation. He is not somebody that needs to be given talking points or given a teleprompter. He shares a lot of similarities with Trump in that sense, where this isn't a man that you manage, that you dictate to. He's going to do what he's going to do, and he's a smart cookie. And part of that is listening to legal counsel, and he's been in touch with his attorneys. And until there's a gag order or some type of court order placed on him, he's going to shout to the mountaintops. And even after that, I think we could see there are a lot of different ways that Roger can get his message out, and Mueller's not going to be able to silence him.
Well, we invited Roger Stone, and he did show. He made an appearance, made a talk at the American Privateers Conference in Washington, D.C. this past year. And we were provided security for him, and we were there. The media was all over him, and microphones in the face, and they do the left-wing media does what they do when it's the questioning, and they're trying to trip you up and trying to put words in your mouth. And Roger Stone absolutely held his own. Yeah, there's no question about that.
Yeah, no, the media does the quintessential Kerry. When's the last time you beat your wife? They are very, very adept and good at putting you and painting you into these corners, and a lot of people fall victim to those tricks, but not Roger Stone.
Yeah, we noticed that. He seemed like he was real cool, calm, and collective when he had like this 360-degree cameras and microphones pointed at him. Do you think they're going to have anything on him? Like, can you describe, have you got a chance to really to look into what it is they're charging him with compared to what he actually did and how he might fare in court?
So I've read over the indictment, and I'm not going to claim to be a legal expert
right.
or somebody who has all the answers, but I think it's very important. The liberal left-wing media, the technocrats, deep state, the establishment, every time we see a Republican or a conservative being punished unfairly for something that liberals or progressives or alt-left do, what do we always hear, guys? We hear it's all about the context. So now is another great opportunity, because what you see in those indictments and what you see in those charging documents are wildly out of context. They're not calling into account that Randy Credico, one of the people that Roger is alleged to have intimidated or bullied in some way, is actually the one who was trying to bully other exculpatory witnesses and who's trying to spread all of these lies. Mueller's witnesses in this case have lied so much, and the fact that he's still going with these people shows a real weakness. Now, one thing I will say, do not be surprised if Robert Mueller tries to indict and charge journalists who have been critical of his witnesses, especially in this case, Roger Stone.
Oh, wow.
I've been critical of Randy Credico as a witness, and a lot of other people have, and addressed his lying. And so I've heard that is one of the things that Mr. Mueller's team is considering, is how can we thread this fine line between the constitutionally protected right as a journalist and then saying, well, by way of you having known Roger at one point in time, and then also you've been critical of one of my witnesses, that is witness tampering. That's witness intimidation. That's obstructing justice. So don't be surprised if Robert Mueller tries to do that.
You know, it's funny you say that, Jacob. I mean, you can indict a ham sandwich and you can indict the cheese and the mayonnaise that's on it. This, in my mind, especially after Saturday Night Live, I didn't watch it. I refused to watch it. However, it was on Twitter, and apparently Steve Martin felt the need to play Roger Stone, and that's all I needed to know, because it's the optics. It's the optics, the optics, the optics. 27 armed, heavily armed, tactical law enforcement busting down the door with CNN on. CNN, Jimmy on the spot with the audio. I don't know if there's video, but there's video audio of it going down. That is absolute optics. And not only that, but this guy was called out, the CNN reporter was called out as being former FBI agent and worked for James Comey. The people that I've seen and people that are reporting on it, it's an absolute fact. There's a sheet right here. There's a there's a sheet from Epoch Times that gives an entire list. It's an entire map. It's a huge map of the whole Spygate and everybody connected to everybody. And when you zoom into it, ironically, and there's a lot of obscure names here, ironically, right under James Comey, this is old. This isn't new. Under James Comey is that reporter connected to, I mean, it wasn't like,
And think about this. When the alt-left and liberals and progressives and Democrats in this country have been telling for 2 years that we're living in the Fourth Reich and that we're living under the next Hitler, well, you know what? I will let them have their point. We are living in the Fourth Reich, and Mr. Mueller is der Fuhrer, because what you saw in that raid on Roger Stone was Gestapo-style tactics.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if this were 1933 and that happened, it would have been Joseph Goebbels calling the state propaganda ministry and the filmmakers to come out and show people being hauled out of political party offices, the communists and others that the Nazis targeted. So it's just really concerning. And how does CNN know? So I talked to Joe Biggs, a combat veteran and somebody who's been on raids as a journalist, and he put up an interesting video where he said, I've never seen anything like that. First of all, if you're there in heavily armored vehicles, you've got an amphibious unit out in the canal, you've got a helicopter overhead, you've got long rifles, flashbangs, night vision goggles, that seems to paint the picture that you're concerned about safety. So why would you then allow CNN 5 feet from where it's going down?
Right.
And number two, it, I think, was really offensive that Mr. Mueller was allowed to access a force like that as being special prosecutor and access all of those FBI resources that are kind of outside of what he should be allowed to do as a special prosecutor and counsel.
Right.
And so he's allowed to do this on his own private army. And to put those FBI agents in that position of, I wonder, what was the briefing beforehand? Did they have this whole map up on the wall where it's like, okay, this guy Roger Stone, he's associated with all these alt-right groups, he's got a bomb in the garage, he's got 36 long rifles under his bed. And
Like it was Waco or something like that.
no, it was, they came at him like he was Waco,
Yeah, yeah.
the Branch Davidian.
Unbelievable. Or Osama bin Laden.
No, they said, somebody did a comparison and said Osama bin Laden raid had less people that ascended out of the helicopter in Osama bin Laden's house.
Man, that's crazy.
so, in a foreign country, that's out of control with violence.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't have the helicopters if they didn't. So I noticed my thought was similar to Joe Biggs, except for that Joe Biggs was actually doing stuff like that. I have no experience in that. However, I do notice that if you come within like 50 feet of somebody being pulled over for a traffic stop, like you're just on the sidewalk and the cops pulled somebody over, if you start to videotape and you're within about 50 feet, they're going to tell you better get out of here, you're going to get arrested. And CNN is like right there front and center, practically directing traffic.
And it is absolutely the optics is what's the shame of it all, is because every news outlet carried this like it was the second coming. You know, and it was like everybody had to know Roger Stone was arrested, and here's how it happened.
Yeah, and the other thing, let's think about this. Let's just use basic logic and back up. So it happens at about 5:45 cents a clock. So in order for all of that to happen, what did the FBI need to do? They needed to shut down that street. They had all this prep work. They had all this lead time. So you're looking at
The logistics of it all.
Logistics, about an hour beforehand, they would have shut down the street. They would have done all of those security measures. So did they shut down the street and then were like, hey, come over here, CNN, we'll just let you in. You know, we'll send the tip out. And they didn't send a release out to their media list from the Office of the Special Counsel until after 6 o'clock when it happened. So this whole thing, this was reporters' intuition, this was my gut instinct, bullshit. You got a tip from Robert Mueller.
Right.
And you need to admit it. And that's fine. That's fine. You had your little propaganda video. You got your perp walk. You got to make it seem like this 66-year-old man whose wife is hearing impaired with 2 Yorkies inside was...
That's gotta be nuts.
Yeah. So fast forwarding to him getting bailed out on $250,000 bail, What's the significance? Of course, everybody knows this instantly with the double victory Nixon pose as he came out. And I think he did it again as he was leaving the area. What's the significance of that?
I think that's just a very masterful trolling. You know, you're gonna paint me as some Nixonite, dirty trickster. He's gonna die with that on his gravestone, so why not embrace it? And the odd part about that press conference is you saw some people gathered for and against Stone, and then this throng of media, more than you saw at the OJ trial, for God's sake. And as the anti-Roger Stone people are chanting "lock him up," Russian stooge, traitor, you see on several live feeds members of the media doing the same thing. So they're like hiding in the crowd, and before they ask a question, traitor, Russian, and then it's like, oh, by the way, Mr. Stone, can you tell me how you feel about this? So they're not even trying to hide it anymore.
Wow. So the media people, the professional journalists, are actually activists at this point. Oh my goodness.
But they sit there and they go, in today's news, they try and act like they're Walter Cronkite, and that's the whole thing. Love or hate Alex Jones. Love or hate Sankan Grover, the Young Turks. Both those guys are very clear. This is my opinion. This is my assessment of facts. I'm giving it to you. Do your own research, believe it or not. CNN, MSNBC, Fox, the other mainstream outlets, they sit there with this veneer of, oh, I have a journalism degree, and oh, I'm so impartial. Well, they're doing activism journalism. And when you call them out on it, they say, oh, how dare you? You can't target me. Oh, you're bullying me. It's ridiculous.
No, it's absolutely insane. And you're right. You're right. For all intents and purposes, I know people who like Alex Jones. I know people who don't like Alex Jones. Cenk, the Young Turks, can't stand him. I think he's got problems.
He's terrible. I don't think he's that smart either.
Yeah, but the reality of it is that I don't come on this show and make the show all about railing against him because that wouldn't make for a good show talking about him. But the second thing, I would never, ever advocate to remove him from any platform whatsoever. Matter of fact, I like the fact that these people have their platforms so that we can point to and expose them for exactly who they are.
And speaking of which, can you tell us the best way to get the latest updates on Roger Stone since he's been permanently banned from Twitter? Like, where is his go-to place to get information out?
On Instagram, Roger J. Stone Jr. On Facebook / Stone Cold Truth. StoneColdTruth.com. You can follow me. On Twitter, you can follow Owen Schroyer on Twitter from InfoWars. And the other important thing, anybody that's listening, watching, that wants to help Roger, whether it's $5, $25, go to StoneDefenseFund.com. If you don't want to do a donation and get nothing in return, you want something tangible that shows that you're supporting Roger, then go to 1776.shop and get the Roger Stone Did Nothing Wrong t-shirt.
Nice!
Those are two ways that you can help out, and it doesn't matter if it's $1 or $100. Anything is appreciated. That's one of the things that we have to look at.
So you're saying the website is 1776.shop.com?
1776.shop, just like that.
Oh,
they can find the Roger Stone Did Nothing Wrong t-shirt there, and then StoneDefenseFund.com. They can make a straight donation to the Legal Defense Fund, and that's really the big thing. Both of those options go to the defense fund, but even if they get you, like they did with Stone, they arrest, they do the indictment. The next part of this is let's starve them out and bury them in 3 years of rigmarole, courtrooms, millions upon millions of dollars.
Well, you saw right. You saw what they did to Papadopoulos, and we were hanging out with Papadopoulos there at the American Priorities Conference, and we've gotten to know him really well in the past few months. And it is just an absolute travesty what they did to him and his wife, his now wife. Now, what a strong woman to be able to weather through that as a fiance, for one, and two, God has something to do with everything. The silver lining to the Papadopoulos cloud, he's now running for office against a Democrat, which in a twist of fate, we would have never known. What kind of name is Papadopoulos?
Yeah,
What's
so
that?
now he has name recognition. Oh, my goodness.
That's a good point you bring up, though. Patriots who are looking for something to do in these uncertain times, get out and run for elected office, whether it's dog catcher or Congress, do something. Because this idea of deep state, this idea of government controllers, of these people like Mueller who infest and corrupt government, that happens a lot in D.C., but it happens on your city council. It happens on your county commission. It happens in your state legislature. So go out there, fight for freedom, run for office. It's going to be tough, but at least put good ideas forward and put your name on the ballot.
You might get lucky, like Carrie and I here in the small town that we're in, only 4 wards, so it's not like it's that many people. We found, pleasantly surprised, we found that the majority of the board was made up of Republicans who support Trump.
And they're looking for young blood to run. They're embracing us.
Yes, and so when you got to have 50 signatures, and we're like, well, okay, we could probably do that. And they're like, no. We're going to have a GOP party at my sister's bar, and we're going to announce it, and people are just going to walk in and start signing your signature.
Yeah, it's way easier than you think, people. So, yeah.
It is a lot easier. And I was recently appointed the youth outreach director for the Orange County GOP here in Central Florida. And that was after I threatened to run for chairman of the group. I'm going to destroy everything. I'm going to be elected chairman, then I'm going to, cleanse the party, if you will. We want the globalists out. We want the Bushies out. Romney's gone. Let's rebrand this party in the image of Trump. And I got a call from the chairman, and he said, hey, Jacob, can you come and get lunch? And I said, okay. And I said, look, youth outreach sucks. Social media sucks. Website sucks. So I don't want the trouble of having to run against you, though I would win. Let's make a deal. Can you help me reach out to young people? Can you give me some sort of position of power to do that for good? So oftentimes maybe you don't even have to run for office. Make some noise,
right?
Cause some commotion. And sometimes there are party leaders who you think maybe aren't listening to you, but scare them a little bit. And then they sit down and realize, crap, this guy's got energy. This gal's got energy. Let's use that energy in a good way rather than fighting amongst one another.
Right, absolutely. And at Magdalene Rose on Twitter, she's phenomenal. We've had her on the show a few times. And just a shout out to her and her mom. They like watching the show.
Yeah.
Hey, ladies. We were hanging out in D.C. with them. Our mom is just so super nice. Magdalene has so much energy. She's such a smart and intelligent young woman. I mean, just
from New York City. That's like that's where you learn to be quick-witted.
And she's calling out the GOP and their youth outreach program, which is horrendous from where she's at. Mm-hmm. And we need help, folks. We need help with the new right network, if you will, the new media outlets. I know. A lot of people are saying that Mark Taylor's only prophecy that hasn't come true is the media starts to agree with Trump. I keep screaming, we already agree with him.
Yeah, we need to get our names out there.
You got the wrong people, y'all.
Right. They got the wrong media.
No, and that's the other thing. Everyone, and this started under James O'Keefe, and Andrew Breitbart. I remember
absolutely
through high school and being big fans of those guys. There's no excuse. If you have a camera phone, which almost everyone has, I don't think phones exist that you can even get at the store anymore that don't have a camera recording device option. You can be your own journalist, okay? If you see something happening in your community, pull out the phone, tape it, and send it in. Post it on your social media. You've got an hour in the day or an hour in the week to sit down and write a blog, go and do so. Share the links. Put the good message out there. Put the word out there. You don't need to rely on these idiots on the 5 o'clock news or mainstream media to get your news. Create your own news.
It's something that I felt in the past, and folks, don't slip down this victimhood mentality that I used to have. I'm not saying you guys had it. I had it at one point in time. Don't fall down that rabbit hole and say, why doesn't Rush Limbaugh or why doesn't Glenn Beck or why doesn't some of these rich fat cats, why don't they help develop an avenue to help raise me up so that I can have. No, here's what it is. Technology has made it so that you and we can meet on a level playing field, and you'll get noticed, you'll get recognized eventually once you've honed your skills. And like The Secret, folks, if it was meant to be, it'll happen. You'll attract each other. You'll wind up in the same place at the same time. And 5 years later here with Smith Radio, we're talking with Jacob. We're hanging out with folks in D.C., Mike Cernovich and Jack Posobiec and Katja Lee. I mean, just people that I had hanging out with Roger Stone and George Papadopoulos, having no
Anthony
idea.
Scaramucci.
I was calling There's a situation where Scaramucci, before he went to speak, told me, he said, man, I got to get out of here. Exactly noon. I got to catch the car. If I'm not out, I'm going to miss this. You got it. And I said, all right, I got this, man. So it looked like I was calling him down off stage. And
I was nervous because I didn't know the prior arrangement. And I was like, what is Brian doing? What is he doing? He was flagging him down.
All right, he played it off on me, which was fun. It was cool. We got him out on time. But, hey, folks, that only happened because
involvement.
We thought we had to do something. And the longer you do it, the more you get involved, the more people you know, network and connections, and that's what it's all about.
Yep.
Well, and I'll leave you guys with this because I have to get ready for D.C. because we're going up to D.C. for the hearing. But you're absolutely right. When I published a local news or bought a local news publication 6 years ago that I had grown up with, it was a little print weekly thing, and they were going out of business. So I went in there and I said, why don't I make an offer to buy their email database, their advertisers, and just the name so I can use that. If they take it, cool. If not, whatever. I wanted to add money.
Right.
And I was like, this could be a great moneymaker. So I got the publication, and then I found out, crap, I don't want to pay someone to write. I don't want to pay someone to do graphic design or web design. So I started learning all these things and doing it myself. And then I really fell in love with journalism and investigating and holding truth to power. So start the process. The road will lead you where it's going to lead you, and you'll find what you're best at.
Don't do it for the money. It ain't. Don't do it for the money and fame. It's not there. Do it to save your country.
Right. Well, thank you so much. Again, it's at Jacob Engels. I think if you look at the bottom of the screen, the at is misspelled, I think. But you have the right name there. Yeah. So it's at Jacob, ENGLES is how you
ELS.
He has it wrong both places.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Hey, if they search me, they'll find me. Yes. And I appreciate you guys letting me on the program. And
we'll
stay tuned on my social media, and you'll see us having some fun up in D.C.
All right. Thank you so much, Jacob. Thanks for coming on.
See you later, buddy. Peace out.
All right. That was Jacob Engels. Awesome guy. He was the best dressed guy at the conference in D.C., the American Priority Conference. I didn't know who he was at that moment when he walked in, but I looked at him and I said, that's got to be somebody important. From head to toe. Oh, he was the one with the multicolored leather shoes and three-piece suit. Real skinny guy.
Right.
And then at the after party, we all came, dressed to the nines at the after party, and he was in a T-shirt.
Nice.
With writing on it, and might have said Roger Stone did nothing wrong. I don't know. And that was way back. It was a month ago, so who knows?
Okay, so we hit the Roger Stone thing. Let me kind of go over a couple of details because I know we're trying to do the 30s, but we are kind of shifting a little bit. First half hour was just intro on the show. Then we talked about the abortion that's going on, that's green-lit to go ahead in New York City for 9-month terms. It's just horrendous, folks. It's infanticide like none other. Mm-hmm. The Democrats embrace this. It's a losing argument. Let them have it. Let them lose on it. Nobody wants it.
There were people that argued for slavery at one time.
The Democrats.
When it was legal.
Democrats.
When it was legal, there was a whole list of things that people would go up and argue why we should maintain slavery being legal in the South or maybe in any state. And people argued for it. And I would argue if you were to go in a time machine and go back in time and meet these people and get to know them, I bet you would think, well, these people aren't totally evil. They just have this completely wrong stance on one of the most evil things ever. And if you'll meet people all the time that are pro-choice that are just like, this guy's not evil, but my God, how does this guy pro-choice?
You and I were both pro-choice at one time.
Yeah,
as a kid, I was told it's not my body, and I believed that.
Yeah, and I think the seed that was planted in my brain, because I want to be intellectually honest at all times. I want to try to just put emotion to the side and just use logic. And so when somebody asked me if I was pro-choice or pro-abortion or pro-life, I said, well, I mean, I can't get pregnant. I'm not going to bear the children for 9 months.
Right.
I don't think it's appropriate for me to have a say on what's going on with the woman's body.
And I think Gen Xers were shamed into that.
Well, and then that person said, "Oh no," and I was just like, "Oh boy, here we go. Here comes the oppressive attitude, right?" And this is how I was believing it. Like, who am I? You're telling me that I need to tell a woman that this is wrong and all this kind of stuff? But when it boils down to it, it takes a man and a woman to create a child, and it is a human. It is a living human being. I'm trying to say scientific. Because there's going to be people that are like, don't throw your Bible at me. Don't thump your Bible. Okay, let's take the Bible out of it. Let's pull out a science book. It is a living human being at conception. Therefore, if you want to get the legal into it, killing it intentionally when there's nothing wrong with it or for any reason whatsoever would be legally considered murder when you consider it a living human being. So that's the logic behind it. We take the religion out of it, we take the emotion out of it, and you are killing a human being. It's as simple as that.
And now that Ohio got rid of our Democrat governor, John Kasich, who shot down what is referred to as the heartbeat law, it has now passed. Ohio has passed what they refer to as the heartbeat law. If there is a heartbeat, you cannot abort a heartbeat.
I mean, it's a step in the right direction.
It is. It's good. Because we could be going down the road of Cuomo 9 months.
Yeah, I mean, you could go either direction with it, and you should be applauding going in the correct direction. And that's Mike DeWine, right? Sign that?
Yes.
And, of course, one thing I tell you about Ohio, and I know that not everybody listening enjoys this in their state, but we have one of the most conservative Republican legislatures in the state of Ohio in all of the country. Well, we have 69% of our entire legislature is Republicans or conservative. And so we enjoy a very, very – but we've had governors like DeWine, and we've even had Democrats in the past who would veto whatever our legislature puts together for laws and stuff like that. So it's been tough as far as going totally, completely pro-life in Ohio. And, of course, you got the federal laws that – or the Roe v. Wade, they try to make it sound like there is a federal precedent that killing babies should be legal. But I think that that's going to be challenged very soon. When you start having these heartbeat bills, you're starting to challenge Roe v. Wade. And when you start to challenge Roe v. Wade, you're going to have Democrats come forward and say, whoa, 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 whoa. We're challenging that. We're going to sue. We're going to make sure that you uphold Roe v. Wade. And what happens is it moves up the chain in the judicial branch until we get back to the Supreme Court one day. I really, truly believe that's going to happen. And I think that a Trump-appointed Supreme Court, which could be as much as heavily favored as 7-2 possibly.
Oh, I'm so fired
One day,
up. Yeah.
One day we could have 7-2. If that be the case, they might say, well, wait a minute here, and they'll start to do it more correctly. Because I do believe, maybe I'm biased, I would love to hear somebody prove me wrong. I would love it. Prove me wrong. I tend to believe that the judgment of laws, the interpretation of laws by Democrats is to figure out how to misconstrue it in order to further their agenda, whereas the right, the conservatives, the Republicans, whatever, generally, most of the time, try to figure out where the righteousness is in the law and try to interpret it exactly the way it's written, the way it was understood when it was written. And that's what we're up against. That's why I feel like a 7-2 Supreme Court will give us a more –
and we're up on a hard break, folks.
Just country.
Up on a hard break, y'all.
It's 6:05. What?
I know. Well, I was waiting for you to finish.
Where was the hard break?
6 o'clock.
Why didn't you stop us at 6 o'clock?
Because you were doing real well. I wanted to let it go. Anyways, folks, this Smith Radio calendar, 2019 calendar. Go to SmithRadioTV.com. SmithTV.com.
Oh,
not Smith Radio. No, it's Smith TV.
Did you put it up on the thing? Oh, you're blowing it. So up on the screen, Brian will in the future put Smith TV.
Well, you saw it all the whole time when Jacob was talking. There's Smith TV over there. Smith TV.
So you had his real name and his Twitter handle misspelled. That's okay. We'll get it right. We'll make sure that when we share this, we're gonna put down the right correct.
Just go to the show notes. It's in the show notes.
All right.
So this the whole Mueller thing. We're into the second hour already, and the whole Mueller thing is out of control. Again, Roger Stone early dawn raid. This dovetails with Russia. What do I mean? Well, here's what happened. Roger Stone's been indicted on 5 charges of lying to Congress about
conversations.
I'm trying. It got conservative stuck in my head.
Oh,
Conversations that he had with WikiLeaks. 1 count of witness tampering and obstruction of House Intel Committee investigation into Russian meddling in 2016 election. Okay, so Roger Stone attempted to talk to another person. Mm-hmm. To have that person talk to another person.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
To possibly talk to WikiLeaks and Julian Assange WikiLeaks in the Ecuadorian embassy in the UK. That's how close Donald Trump was to Russia, because he needed to get to 3-4 different people to get to Julian Assange. And this only happened after the Mueller special counsel was convened. These things that are happening to individuals, these process crimes, are happening while the investigation is going on. It didn't happen before the investigation.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say that they believe that if wrongdoing happened, if laws were broken, if collusion happened, that once they see that they are being investigated, then they're going to start to do the activity of covering up what they've done and lying. So the lying and the covering up would happen after they realize, oh, crap, we're being investigated for this, and we're guilty. We are damn guilty.
So they're no closer to any kind of Russian collusion whatsoever.
No.
And again, folks, this is all optics, 100%.
Can I don't know how far into the details of that you wanted to go, but I wanted to point out something so important about this Roger Stone.
You can point it out.
All right, check this out. I think it is awesome that this event has actually caused people to start to revisit what this Russiagate thing was all about, because they're charging them with, what is it, the WikiLeaks thing, right? So right. DNC leaks was the thing that blew up everybody. All the new media people that you watch and listen to today were some of the people that spearheaded initially this DNC leaks thing. As soon as it came out on WikiLeaks, everybody's like, oh my gosh, did you guys see these DNC leaks thing? And then you had your John Podesta email. So it was like this 1-2 punch that people were looking into, and all these conspiracies kind of drew had their genesis in WikiLeaks. But what happened is the DNC and the deep state and the mainstream media, it's all one entity. They're all different departments of the same Communist Party. They decided to say, well, if they were hacked, who hacked them? And can we throw them in jail? And then they started realizing, well, if it was Russia that hacked them, who helped them? Did the Trump campaign help them? Did the Trump campaign hack them and then give them to Russia in order to give to WikiLeaks? And there was all this kind of stuff going on where it started looking like, based on their narrative, that there was wrongdoing going on in the Trump campaign regarding the DNC leaks. But here's why I love that this came out, because we already knew this, we already reported this, and now we get to revisit it. Do you guys remember that what had come out about DNC leaks that we know for a fact now that pretty much throws all this in the garbage?
John Podesta was hacked by a phishing scam.
Well, there's that. But the DNC leaks, that's true. About the John Podesta gave away his stuff. But that doesn't make the people who fished it right.
No. I'm just saying this had nothing to do with Trump or Russia.
Oh, right. Just saying, it could be a Russian entity that did the phishing scheme, but that might have nothing to do with Trump. But here's what you need to know. Regarding DNC leaks, it has been proven, and this is going to be rehashing for you guys. You guys have heard this before. I'm just going to remind you. This is a reminder. It's been proven that the DNC information that ended up in WikiLeaks could not have been hacked.
Because of the
amount of
signature. You're looking at forensics and you're looking at the signature and the amount of data that was downloaded and the speed at which it was downloaded at could have only been done
by a flash drive on site. It had to be somebody at the server or at a computer at the DNC to download it onto a flash drive. That is the only way. There was not enough time. We don't have the technology to have streamed all that data from the DNC servers to anywhere outside of the network via the internet. It had to have been an insider.
Right, because if you think about it, if you have internet at your house and say you have the best internet of the best, like here in the showroom, because we need it, we've got 200 download and 20 upload. And so that 20 upload, that's a fraction. It's a fraction of what you could have from downloading to a USB. You know what I'm saying? If you're sending it to a USB, it's going to be exponentially faster than trying to send it up into the internet.
And this isn't even exclusive to Smith Radio.
No.
Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, the people we all hate, right? Sean Hannity, they have all reported the fact that this would have been impossible to have been hacked over the internet. It had to be an insider. Did Russia send in a guy that acted like he was going to help with
well,
maybe? I don't know. Is anybody even accusing anybody of that?
We do know that a certain individual did have a flash drive on his persons when he was accosted, shot, and eventually died. Did not die on the street, but he eventually died. That was Seth Rich.
Yeah, he was actually healthy and going to survive survivable injuries, being shot. Survivable injuries in the hospital, and then he was killed after that. Somebody finished the job.
I had to finish. I had to clean that up.
Yeah.
And we've done scopes. We've talked about this before. Those connections from Bill Still was involved in an interview that happened. A guy had wanted to stay anonymous because of his safety or whatnot, but he was actually involved with some of these crew guys, all connected to Rod Rosenstein, who absolutely had to have 100% control of everything and everybody around him because information was control. He would control the information that he had on different judges, district court judges, as he rose through the ranks and made his way all the way up to Assistant Deputy Attorney General, to McCabe. Comey fired. McCabe assumes. Rod Rosenstein assumes one up. And what happened to McCabe? He got fired, or Who did that? Rod Rosenstein. He went behind the back of his superior, went to Donald Trump, had a meeting with Trump, and convinced Trump to convince the powers that be that McCabe had to be fired, which is true. And when he had McCabe fired, literally had McCabe fired, he then controlled the entire Mueller investigation of Russia, another backstab to Donald Trump.
Right. And not only do we have this Barr individual going to help at all? We're not going to get down on a tangent here, but just to bullet point everything.
Yeah.
Just to bullet point everything. One of the things, this is something else that needs to be mentioned too. And if you listen to Russia, back when we used to be Smith Radio, just radio version, that's like our crowning jewel episode that basically debunks everything about Russiagate, and we did it on December 11th, 2016.
If you hit the Google, if you type in Smith Radio and then Russia, it'll come up.
Gosh, that was over 2 years ago.
It'll come up on the YouTube.
It's been debunked. Yeah. But anyway, the main thing that I point out in that episode is that the argument that the DNC is trying to make is that they know they have proof, and I don't doubt it, they have proof that sorry about that.
People, you don't need to get that.
Yeah, what the heck?
Why people got phones running off?
They have proof that the DNC servers were hacked by Russian entities. I do not doubt that. But here's what you need to know. Not only does Russia hack everything that America has, but we hack everything that Russia has. We hack everything that China has. We hack everything that Great Britain has.
Angela Merkel's cell phone. Obama hacked that thing and got caught.
Exactly. we hack the Germans. We hack every Middle Eastern country.
Don't forget. Did you guys forget what China did to Hillary Clinton's server?
Don't remember.
China embedded a bug in her server
that allowed them to get everything.
Real-time email. China was getting real-time emails. As she received it, they got a copy. As she sent it, they got a copy.
Yeah.
Real time, this was testified.
Wow.
Lisa Page, Peter Strzok, all these people that have been testified have all testified to one portion of that or another. And when they talk about it, they talk about a third party. Not going in detail who that third party was, but we found out that it's China. And just real quick, this past week has been big. Where are we at on time frame? We're at 16 minutes. Okay. Real big this week was the Russia kind of blew up in the sense that, and we've talked about this, John McCain, and this has come to light, and the pieces of the puzzle are coming together. John McCain. What about John McCain? Okay. John McCain running against Obama. Go all the way back. Go all the way back where Hillary Clinton and Obama were head-to-head, toe-to-toe. Hillary Clinton came out with the birther stuff, the birther movement, and then Barack Obama hired a crew, Fusion GPS. Barack Obama hired Fusion GPS against Clinton and against John McCain. Fusion GPS, Glenn Simpson wrote the document, the article that came out about Russians influencing Washington, D.C. and getting part and trying to influence our elections. They tied that all to John McCain through Davis and Manafort. Davis led John McCain's campaign. Him and Manafort had an LLC that actually did do business with Russian entity, Depreska, who was also tied up with Christopher Steele and Glenn Simpson. All this stuff is incestuous. Here's the thing, though. President Bush was president at the time, and apparently they weren't going to allow the weaponization of the FBI and the CIA at the time to go after John McCain and string him up. Not only that, but the FBI went to John McCain and told John McCain, dude, you got to cut these ties with some of these people. Russian influence, man. They're tied. They're deep ties. So John McCain started cutting ties with some of these people after the FBI approached him, and staffers started to quit on John McCain because they knew that there were ties to this Russian stuff that John McCain had to stop, had to cut Davis loose. He did at one point in time cut Davis loose, but the reports are, people that were in the camp said that Davis for weeks came back to McCain, literally crying to McCain to come back on the campaign. And lo and behold, McCain brought him back, but it didn't even matter at that point in time. They were hemorrhaging money. They were hemorrhaging votes. It was total pandemonium and chaos in the John McCain camp. He saw them use Russia against him, and he was bitter and emboldened by that. John McCain hated Donald Trump for whatever reason, but obviously saw Trump was making a run-up like nobody's business and the possibility of winning like he was doing. John McCain saw the Obama administration, Hillary Clinton, and all of them using Russia 2.0. What they used against him, he saw them using against Trump, and he got involved. He handed dossiers out to his staffers handing them up to Comey. John McCain wanted to destroy Donald Trump and loved getting involved in the fact that he was going to destroy him with what almost destroyed him. And now we've got the weaponization of the FBI and the CIA because now Barack Obama is president of the United States and dirty deeds done dirt cheap and so much money being passed around. The collusion with Russia throughout the entire Obama administration, including Hillary Clinton, that's the narrative, folks, is that they colluded with Russia, but they were going to put that and pin that on Trump at all costs.
It's interesting.
By hook or by crook, they were going to pin it on Trump.
Doesn't it seem like it's possible that the evidence that they're uncovering is just evidence that was created by collusion happening with the DNC?
Yeah,
like
it's a projection.
They're finding the evidence and they're pinning it on whoever it is, that not just Trump. Did you notice? Have you guys been listening to the mainstream media? I'm sorry, I have to listen to it for you guys because I like to check out to see what the enemy's talking about. They are completely conceding that Trump did nothing wrong. He didn't do any colluding, not even by accident. Now they're openly admitting that they're only going after associates and other people that were in the campaign at much lower levels. That's it. They're actually openly admitting that. So there is some light at the end of the tunnel, maybe. I mean, it's like a pinprick. You're like going down this tunnel, and you're like, I think I see light. And that doesn't. It's not necessarily bad for us. It's just that it's not going to end.
Right.
It's just simply not.
Barack Obama also used fusion GPS against Mitt Romney for the 2012 election as well.
Wow.
Hillary Clinton colluded with Russia, Uranium One, Benghazi, Libya, Syria, the Russian restart button. And, folks, I said this on my Friday Scope, and I'm going to say it again. If you don't think the hand of God was not involved in the electing of Donald Trump, let me paint the picture for you. Let me just give you a little paint the picture. Here's who Donald Trump had to beat. Donald Trump had to beat Perkins Coie. Donald Trump had to beat Fusion GPS. Donald Trump had to beat Christopher Steele, who was a former MI6 working with the FBI. He had to beat DePresca and the leaks. The Hail Mary quote, the Hail Mary. That was the whole deep state thing was the Glenn Simpson said, this is the Hail Mary. We're going to get Trump with this. Hail Mary leaked to Mother Jones, and David Corn wrote about it. Trump had to beat the deep state. Sally Yates, John Brennan, James Comey, McCabe, Rosenstein, Weissman, Bruce Orr and his wife Nellie Orr working with Fusion GPS. James Baker, who is currently under a full-blown investigation, and this guy is going to be the first dog that goes to prison. James Baker was the lawyer and the intermediary that went between the DOJ and the FBI, colluding with Hillary Clinton's lawyers and Fusion GPS. This is the first one that goes to prison. James Baker, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, British Intel as a whole, and the Five Eyes. And if you don't know Five Eyes are the 5 intel agencies around the world that all work together. All of this, wrapping all of this up.
And real quick, as you wrap that up, I just want to point out, this is what the globalism is.
Right. The Mitt Romneys that come out and screaming. The John McCains that come out and screaming. All these screaming demons.
Globalism is the deep state's ability to use not just all the resources that they have at their disposal, which is the American taxpayer money funneling in order to weaponize it against Republicans and conservatives, or more. I shouldn't even say Republicans, because remember, uniparty.
Right.
It's we the people versus those that seek to dominate the people.
Right.
Dominate and rule over them. Now, as a globalist or a globalist setup, a New World Order, I guess, I don't want to get all – a lot of people hear New World Order and they think, oh, gosh, here we go with the conspiracy theory.
No, that started back in 1885.
I'm just saying globalism enables our deep state to collude with the deep state of other countries to keep them in power at all countries. All countries can keep their globalists in power by helping each other out. So if the Five Eyes – need our deep state to help keep a populist or a nationalist or somebody who represents the people to attain power, they'll do it. And it's exactly what they attempted to do to keep Donald Trump out of power. And so this is what globalism is, which is why we have to fight it, because it's actually working against our individual freedom to enable them and to empower them.
Right. And when Donald Trump lets go guys like General Mad Dog Mattis, folks, General Mattis was a globalist. He believed in uniting the different countries together. He believed in the one world order, the globalism, and helped to create peace through globalism. Just because that's who he was. He was a high-up politician, a general, high-ranking general in the European sector. And that's what he saw. That's what he dealt with. When you got British intel having offices at Langley with the FBI, they've got offices right next to each other. Peter Strzok just had to get up and walk down the hall to talk to British intel. That's a problem to me. To me, that's a problem.
That's your one world order right there.
Right. So Nancy Pelosi tweeted out, just to wrap this up, Roger Stone's indictment makes clear there was a deliberate, coordinated effort by top Trump campaign officials to subvert the will of the American people during the 2016 election. # follow the facts.
Oh, boy. Isn't that rich, talking about facts.
Judge Janine Stone lying to Congress? ? Dear Hillary, she lies every time she opens her mouth. The only reason Abbott and Mills Pagano are not charged with process crimes is because Comey, who should be indicted himself, never bothered to investigate God Help America.
She's right.
Remember when they raided Cohen's house and they did a raid on Manafort?
Yeah.
Now they've done a raid here.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton, when she testified, or when she when she went in and talked, hanged out. There's no documents to talk or anything. She brought both her lawyers with her. Those two lawyers previously testified. They asked Lisa Page, is that unusual? And Lisa Page said, yeah, man, that ain't right. That ain't right at all. Since they testified, they cannot or should not be in the same room with Hillary advising her on her testimony because they already testified.
That's a conflict of interest.
Comey wanted their laptop. He talks about it. Bruce Orr's notes came out. Dude, Bruce Orr's notes are just damning to the whole thing. Bruce Orr wrote about all this stuff with James Baker and Jim Comey, and Jim Comey desperately wanted to get the laptops of Hillary Clinton's lawyers for months and months and months and months. And what did he do? He raided their home. No, man. No. He called him up and said, all right, I'm going to buckle. What do you want? Immunity? Okay. He gives them both immunity, and then they give over the laptops after months and months and months of time to bleach bit.
Right, which is exactly what happened.
So
they should have done the pre-dawn raid on them.
Oh,
but they wouldn't, because they are actually all part of the same crime syndicate.
Correct. Severda. Margaret Hoover presses Republican Eric Swalwell. This dude is just unbelievable, guys.
Yeah. He's the worst of the worst. He's I'm not sure who's worse between him and Shifty Eyes Schiff, but they're bad.
Dan Bongino says these two are going head-to-head for who gets the most power.
That explains why they're such horrible liars. Yes. They're the worst.
This journalist actually presses back on him. Listen to how this plays out, folks. About 2 minutes long. Listen to how this plays out.
At what point do you draw the line and not accuse the President of the United States without any evidence of being an agent of Russia?
Yeah, he's betrayed our country, and I don't say that lightly. I worked as a prosecutor for 7 years, and
But betraying the country, by the way, we want evidence before you say that, but you said an agent of Russia.
Yeah, he works on their behalf.
How?
Since he met with Vladimir Putin in Helsinki in July, where he took the interpreter's notes, hasn't told any U.S. official what they discussed. He has taken us out of Syria, which is a top priority of Russia. He sought to diminish or pull out the U.S. from NATO. And he's easing sanctions on Vladimir Putin's friends who are under investigation in the Mueller.
He did pass sanctions against Russia. He has armed Ukraine. He has killed 200 Russians in Syria. I mean, those aren't the actions of an agent of Russia either.
He signed, I think, begrudgingly sanctions against Russia after Congress and people expressed concern, and he got backed into it. But as soon as he could, he has pulled those away. And so,
what makes him an agent of Russia, though?
So
yes.
During the campaign, the Russians were offering, and we saw this in our investigation, and Free Press reporting showed this. They were offering their assistance to help him. They were reaching out, whether it was the Trump Tower meeting, whether it was
that was you guys. That was you guys. You guys called on your Russian buddies.
Yes.
To bring them to get, and by the way, this person was barred from coming into America. Yeah. You had to shop around and find a friendly judge.
Preet Bharara, who was appointed by Barack Obama and immediately fired by Trump.
You had to temporarily allow this terrorist, this enemy of the state, who was barred from coming into the country, to come in to run a Russian operation against your political opponents. Are you serious?
And what did they talk about in the Russian Tower? Apparently,
it was a setup. They told them what to talk about.
Right, and it wasn't about Russian collusion. It had nothing to do with Hillary's email. They were saying that the whole talk was just so convoluted that they had to get out of there. They had to be done with this.
I would have had the FBI raid this interview and said, "Open up! It's the FBI!" I would have had him do the battering ram, and I would have threw a flashbang in there while the cameras were rolling. And of course, the interviewer, she looks familiar, but I don't know her name. But she would have been like, "Oh my God!" Because she would have fell out. And we needed to throw him on the ground, put him in chains both on the arms and on the legs, like I heard that they did with Roger. Chains on his legs. Was he going to run away?
Hey, they were afraid he was going to sprint.
We got a runner. We have a runner. This guy's unbelievable, and we're only halfway through this interview.
Yeah.
Line emails we saw that said, Russia, Putin, Trump, let's connect them. Whether it was trying to build a Trump Tower and Felix Sater, a Russian American who worked for President Trump, saying if we connect Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, we can engineer this and make our boy president. He never turned down those offers. In fact, after it was revealed that the Russians were attacking our democracy, he went to a press conference and said, Russia, keep doing it, essentially.
So we're
keep doing it. He didn't say keep doing it. He's making up words there. He literally just made up a sentence right there that misleads the listener into believing that he's having an actual conversation with Russian officials. It was a rally, and he was going to say something.
Where are the 33,000 missing emails? Maybe Russia can find them.
He was making a joke about the fact that Hillary should be in prison right now for destroying government evidence, government property, in order to prevent, basically obstruct justice. She was committing a felony in order to obstruct justice against her, and with the joke about Russia hacking everything, he decided, well, let's make a joke about the fact that we can't find her emails. Let's see if Russia has them. And he was speaking to American citizens live on TV at a rally on a podium at a rally.
It was
it was hilarious. Everybody laughed.
Familiar with that sequence of events. As a prosecutor, as a prosecutor, that wouldn't be evidence in court. I mean, as a prosecutor, know the difference between hard evidence and circumstantial evidence.
I think an admission by a defendant is the most powerful evidence. And asking somebody to continue to commit a crime after they've already committed a crime.
Hold on a second. There is no laws that tell Russia what they can and can't do. That's not how governments work.
No.
There is no international we are not the international government of the world. We don't have laws that say Russia cannot do this. Russia cannot do that. So for him to say that what Russia did was breaking the law, what law? We have no jurisdiction over other countries, specifically countries like Russia. So for him to say that they broke a law, I mean, maybe if they were American citizens, it's a part of espionage. It's what happens. I mean, we do it to them. Is he calling the United States government a bunch of lawbreakers? Because that's exactly what we do to them. Unbelievable.
To collude. I don't know what else to call it. And then I think you have consciousness of guilt by all of these follow-up, cover-up actions. Again, people only tell someone else to lie. People only lie themselves. People only obstruct justice if they're afraid of what the underlying truth would reveal.
But I'm not hearing evidence that he's an agent of Russia.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. It's almost hiding in plain sight.
Oh my gosh. Swalwell is god-awful.
Oh, no, you didn't.
And that's why... That's why we can't be on YouTube. That's why we can't be on YouTube, people.
Thank you, Jim Carrey.
Oh,
Thank you. I get to use Jim Carrey finally. I know Jim Carrey's a Trump hater, but I love the fact that he's now coming to Donald Trump's rescue. Yes, he is a secret agent man.
How does one get to the place that Swalwell's in right now? I mean, how do you get to a point mentally in your lifetime where you have to bear false witness against people in order to, I don't know. I mean, what is your end goal? What are you doing? Apparently, he must be a massive, massive lawbreaker.
Well, Dan Bongino tweeted out this video, retweeted it with a quote, and said, "Failed human being,
yes,
Eric Swalwell, see here battling Adam Schiff for the top spot in the Loser Olympics." This is some of the most disgusting and disturbing video you'll see of a failed, desperate, power-obsessed politician in your lifetime.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan Bongino.
And it's not like Swalwell and Schiff have a bad day and oh, they're over the top with this interview, or oh, they're over the top with that little statement they made or tweet or whatever. They are like these, like they're programmed NPCs, like they're non-player characters that are designed to be diabolically anti-American, anti-Trump, anti-Constitution, anti-everything, and it's like somebody figured out how to trigger good people, good, honest people, and they spent a lifetime, maybe a whole generation, honing in on the perfect buttons to push to trigger good people, and created an algorithm, a whole entire program, and dropped it into an NPC, and that's what you have with Swalwell and Schiff.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%, 100%. I know Jerome Corsi today just came out, and he was on CNN. Jerome Corsi's the one who's suing Bob Mueller and was greenlit by a judge to go ahead and with the $300 million lawsuit against the Mueller team. He was on, and Daily Caller reports this as Jerome Corsi said Sunday, that's today, that he will be happy to testify against Roger Stone if he is called to appear at any trial against Trump confidant. Quote, "I'll be happy to testify if I would suspect to be subpoenaed. Corsi said in an interview with CNN's fake Jake Tapper. Quote, "And I will let the testimony fall wherever it falls. I'm going to tell the truth to the best of my ability. I'm going to do my best to tell the truth without calculation of whom it benefits or whom it detracts." Corsi is the one who's referred to as person one in the indictment handed down Friday against Stone, a GOP operative who's known President Trump for over 40 years. So
they're trying to put Corsi. Why do I always want to pronounce it Corsi? Not to get off on a
You
tangent.
could call it Corsi.
I thought everybody called him Corsi, and then all of a sudden now it's all Corsi. So.
Is it? Or am I the only one?
Everybody
saying Corsi?
on mainstream media pronounces it Corsi, but I thought that when he was on InfoWars, it was pronounced. There's a lot of churches and schools throughout America and probably throughout the world that have the exact same name. We have 2 St. John's schools here in Cincinnati.
St. John, St. Jude, St. Aloysius, St. Mary's, St. Catherine,
There's a million of them. There's probably
Our Lady of Lourdes.
There's probably 16 St. Catherine schools in the United States.
Right.
So what I'm saying is when I saw Covington Catholic, obviously Covington is the name of the city, not a saint.
Right.
But my initial instant reaction was, oh, wow, that's interesting because we have a Covington Catholic here nearby. Second of all, it didn't happen in Cincinnati or in Covington. It happened in D.C. So even if I knew instantly that it was CovCath here, and by the way, that's the third reason. The third reason is nobody calls it Covington Catholic here. Everybody calls it CovCath. Everybody. So when I saw Covington Catholic, it almost didn't even ring a bell. So
we didn't really think it was us.
Now, as far as not going during the week, number one, the weather was horrendous. We actually bounced back and forth, which is why there has not been a whole heck of a lot of
protests.
Yeah.
Right.
We bounced back and forth between 9-degree weather and pouring down rain. Like back and forth.
It got as low as -7.
Yeah. Oh, did it?
Yeah, it got as low as -7.
So we got the bitter cold and pouring rain. And so even if I went, I just would have been like, hey, here's Kath school or whatever. So there's that. But I could have done more legwork and found people to interview. But by the time I realized that we were missing the boat, I just figured, all right, well, it's kind of a done deal. I had no idea that when the truth came out, that the mainstream media was going to double down. I was really shocked. And I remember waking up one morning and seeing that they doubled down and said, oh, really? Are they going down this road? Oh, my goodness. No, really? So it just went off the rails from there. So that was the deal.
Epoch Times, I got turned on by them from Dan Bongino.
Yeah.
With the Russia gate. EPOCH Times, I actually had to look up the word. Sorry. Epoch means era.
Well, I'm glad you said that.
Like era time.
Yeah. Is it epoch or epoch? Epic. Whatever. Whatever.
Yeah. So era times. But they came out with an article, hashtag Nathan Phillips. Not an article, a tweet. Hashtag Nathan Phillips, who approached a group of teenagers in hashtag Washington with video of the incident going viral, has a violent criminal record that includes a prison escape. Not only that, but apparently he didn't serve in Vietnam. Mistake of words. I think he still is a veteran, but again, we debunked that, folks. So was Bo Birddog. He still is a veteran, disgraced veteran, if you will. John Kerry is a disgraced veteran.
Well, I like the Bo Birddog analogy better because I don't think that he got an honorable discharge. And even though Nathan Phillips may have ended up with an honorable discharge, I do not know for a fact whether it's one way or another. The guy got out as a private because of so much bad conduct, very bad conduct. And there's actually 5 different discharges you can get. There's the honorable, there's the general under honorable conditions, there's general under other than honorable conditions.
Oh, wow.
There is a bad conduct discharge, which it wouldn't surprise me. And by the way, that's the 4th best you can get. And then the bad one, or the worst one, is dishonorable discharge.
Dishonorable, right.
So it would be surprising to find out that he would have an honorable discharge. People that usually have that kind of service record would get a general under honorable conditions, and that's basically a very, very nice way of saying you're a total crap bag. Honestly, I'm just saying. So anyway, he does have stolen valor, though. A lot of people are saying, whoa, it's not stolen valor. He did serve. Listen, I don't tell people that I served in Afghanistan under combat situations. I'm totally honest about my peacetime service.
We were still tactically a Desert Storm. And I do say that I was in support of Operation Deny Flight and Decisive Edge.
Yeah, we have the credentials for being veterans of the Gulf War.
Yeah, we were in support.
But we would never say we were in the Gulf War or that we went to Iraq or anything like that, because we didn't. And by the way, some people are saying, no, he just claimed he was a veteran era veteran. Actually, I'm sorry I don't have it on hand right now, but I saw it with my own eyes. There is a video out there on YouTube of him looking right at the camera. I think he was doing like a scope or something of him saying, I am a Vietnam War veteran. He said those words, so stolen valor.
All right, here we go. We got Tucker Carlson on tonight. Tucker has a lawyer on with him.
Okay.
And this lawyer is going to give us details about what is going on.
Here's a selection of what didn't make social media.
This child molesting priest right there.
Right.
Let's make America great again. A bunch of child molesting.
Look at all these dusty crackers with that racist garbage on. Look at these dirty
crackers. Bunch of future school shooters. That's right. A bunch of incest babies. A bunch of babies made out of incest. The biggest terrorist on the face of this earth is the pale-faced man, woman, and child.
They're a bunch of racists. I mean, those people are flat out racist. Could you imagine white people talking to black people that way? If the roles were reversed, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, those people, they would have to fight to stay out of prison. I'm going to be honest with you. If it was the other way around.
Absolutely. Now, you tell me if the sound's too bad on this one to play this, but check the sound out on this one. This is Waters, who brings on the lawyer. Sorry, I apologize. I thought it was Tucker that had the lawyer, but that was a good clip to show you what the mainstream media and social media is not. I mean, you find it on social media somewheres, but that was not viral. The other stuff was. This is Waters talking to the lawyer.
Robert Barnes, an attorney representing several students and families from Covington Christian High School. All right, Mr. Barnes, there's been some really, really horrible things said about these boys from Covington. Have you issued any warning to these people that have been trafficking and a lot of this slanderous activity on the internet?
Yes, to a wide range of people. So Maggie Haberman was one of the first people who was calling for the kids' expulsion.
The New York Times
reporter. The lead New York Times reporter making false statements about these kids, calling for punitive action against these kids, whom she's never met, who are private citizens, based on an event she didn't even witness. It really tells you something about the standard of the New York Times that something like that could happen. But also others. Congresswoman Omar made false statements about these kids. We requested that she retract it or we would sue her. Well, an hour later, she did retract it, to her credit. But others have not retracted. So some have. Kathy Griffin has.
You got
Jake
Kathy
Tapper
Griffin to
has,
retract.
Meghan
That's a big retraction. She oftentimes does not retract. I see someone, Reza Aslan. This guy has appeared on The Daily Show, on CNN a lot. Here's what he said. He said, honest question, have you ever seen a more punchable face than this kid's? He has not retracted that.
That's correct, and he's going to get sued next week.
Wow.
Similarly, Matthew Dowd, there's been requests that he retract. He's an ABC commentator, pretends to be a Republican commentator. He's made false statements about these kids, refused to retract it, and he did it interspersing it with statements about how we should love each other, consistent with the Christian tradition. If he doesn't retract, he's going to get sued. Michael Rappaport did a crude rap sort of image against these kids. He has refused to retract. He's a famous Hollywood actor that's on a Netflix show about how we should avoid childhood bullying of kids, and here he is bullying kids.
That's ironic.
So several New York Daily News put a false headline out that various kids from the school had appeared in blackface. Totally false. They'd been at a blackout, which is very common throughout the country.
Are you going to go after the New York Daily News for that? Oh, they're going to get sued.
Yeah, the New York Daily News will be
sued. It seems like. Now, from my limited understanding of the law, I did not go to law school. It's a very high bar, the slander and the libel. I mean, you have to show malicious intent and knowingly that something is wrong and defamatory, and it doesn't always work in court. Are you confident that you're going to be able to secure judgments?
Yes, because in this case there's a unique exception. So when there's a defamation and libel of private citizens, particularly minors, then the legal standard goes way down.
Yeah.
So you no longer have to prove actual malice or malevolent intent. All you have to prove is that a false statement was made, or in Kentucky the law is even broader, an unflattering impression given and put a person's reputation in a false light, and otherwise, and just that it be negligent for them to do so. That's why the whole family gave everybody 48 hours to correct all of these statements. If they still refuse to do so, it's clearly negligent for them to keep false statements up.
With that being said, that should give you some hope that there is going to be justice served when it comes to all these lame brain, left-wing nut jobs, or even like the one that he said that acts as a conservative that's coming out after these kids. It is despicable what these people have done coming out against these kids.
Yeah, and by the way, some people might want to make the argument that, hey, what happened to freedom of speech? They should be allowed to say whatever they want. How are you going to try to sue somebody for something that they say or write? Well, the thing about libel laws and what's libel and slander. So libel and slander are both defamation laws. One is reference to what you write. So if you write something bad about somebody, it could be libel. And if it's said out of your mouth, verbally. That would be what you would go after them with slander. But the way it works is this. If you defame somebody which could cause damage to their reputation or somehow monetarily, which, by the way, there's already talk about how – look at David Hogg just recently got accepted to Harvard with extremely inferior SAT and ACT scores. He's probably pretty smart, but nowhere near good enough credentials at all. There's nothing that would get him into Harvard other than he's a famous guy that knows how to toe a liberal line. And so they were like, we need this guy in our school. Who's to say, and by the way, everybody's saying that these same institutions of higher learning would say, oh, that's that kid that was making a smirk while he was being accosted by some leftist.
Oh, we're not letting
We
him
are
in.
absolutely. I know he's got a perfect SAT, perfect ACT. He's got a 4.5 average.
But he's white, and we're all filled up with whites.
And he was wearing a red MAGA hat. Yeah. Well, and the thing is even if they didn't, it's possible that they could believe the fake stuff that was said about him by the news and by celebrities and by these other leftist blue check marks and whatnot. And so, you totally got a case. Legally, you are so liable for libel here. Totally.
Duke LaCrosse. Mm-hmm. Anybody remember that case, Duke LaCrosse?
Yeah, did those kids get expelled?
Rape, but they're innocent and was proven innocent. How about Jesse Jackson? The rape in the Central Park case where he claimed that a white guy raped a black woman. Come to find out, it was false. It was not true. The man went through so much BS to prove himself innocent that he sued Jesse Jackson and won millions of dollars in a settlement against Jackson. Jackson never paid it. Jackson runs for president. Somebody says, oh, we better pass the hat to clear your name.
Yeah.
So other people paid for Jesse Jackson's suit for calling out for a white guy being a rapist and then never was. Go figure. Social media and technology the way it is today, folks, we're able to bring this to you. We're able to talk to you. We're able to connect with each other hand in hand and see this stuff in real time. We're witnessing real news within days of stuff happening.
Hours.
Yeah, hours of stuff happening.
Sometimes minutes.
And we're able to debunk these CNN fake news reporters and show you the propaganda that's out there. With that being said, oh my goodness, were you the one that shared this video with me?
That's one of them. There's a couple that are just nuts.
This is what the
I did share that with
This is the new norm of insanity, folks. This is what we're having to battle. There's some real illnesses out there.
You'll clear the bottom of the screen so that they can see the captions because you do not want to miss what this lady says.
Yeah,
it is mind-blowing.
Okay, so MAGA hat people show up to... I don't know what this is.
That's probably the March for Life, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Crazies.
Think about your hat and the way it makes people feel because it incites fear in all those around us. Every person is afraid of that hat. I'm afraid of that hat.
So she's a bald woman with a very thin, tiny patch of hair that is shaped in a mohawk, and she's got a figure 8 tattooed in the side of her head.
Infinity symbol.
Yeah.
That's great. For so many people, that's racism.
Yeah, but that's because of the mainstream media's narrative that's painted Donald Trump as a racist.
So she's talking to 2 black guys, and then there's a black girl too.
I don't agree with the narrative. I'm out here to try to share that that narrative is skewed.
As a human being, you should pay attention to fear and not logic.
Wait.
You should pay attention to fear and not logic.
Only as a human being.
Right.
As a human being, you should pay attention to fear and not logic. I cannot believe that came out of her mouth because most leftists, most crazy people who are into politics or very politically active and whatnot would know not to say something, not to reveal their hand.
Yeah.
You don't show your cards to the people,
right.
And she just did with that.
You said pay attention to fear and not logic?
Yes.
I should have paid attention to emotions and not facts?
Yes.
Why would I pay attention to emotions
when that are real in this world?
Facts are facts?
Facts no, emotions are real. Emotions is one removed from spirit. I find that it is hard to trust others.
You shouldn't trust the mainstream media. You should start listening and looking into
media that you suggest. That is saying don't trust knowledge, operate in darkness.
No, go look up facts. Go look up actual statistics and facts. Look up Pew Research.
Emotion is real.
But emotions change, don't they?
She's being honest. She's being 100% honest there. She truly believes that what she feels, whatever makes her have a subconscious reaction, like if I punch Brian right now, he would probably get angry. And
emotions, and that's real, Carrie. I really did get angry. That's real, Carrie.
But
I'm
the
emotional.
fact is that I punched you, so there would be some justification there. So maybe that's not a good example. But if the mainstream media can figure out a way to present things to you that are not real, that elicit a real emotional reaction out of you, then what's real?
My emotions.
Right. This woman is creating reality out of fiction because of her. There's like a buffer zone of her emotion. So there's her brain that will gather facts, which she doesn't. She's already dismissing facts. She's just dismissing.
I'd like to ask her if math was probably not her strong suit.
Oh, absolutely not. I bet you she's a hell of an artist.
I bet you she's an incredible artist.
Yeah.
And math is definitely her weakest suit. And the only reason why I say that, folks, is because math is rooted in logic. It's 1 plus 1
is
emotion. No, zero. That's why a lot of people that are emotional can't do math in a sense that they're not entertained enough. They need to be eye candied, more emotions involved. This woman had lacking of logic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's by design because, as we found out in World War I, if you go to SmithTV.com, I've got the Conspiracy of World War I up there. You check that out, scroll down. As we found out in World War I, that the governments realized the more emotional they can get their citizenry, the more they can take away their rights and the more they'll give it up.
I could see that. That's what the whole idea behind fear-mongering is.
Yes.
Get them to let you do what you want to do by fear-mongering.
And that's the Democrat Party. Amen. All right, so this is our good buddy Fletcher, man on the street. This is just too good, folks. This 2 minutes long, but you've got to see what we're up against.
Hey guys, it's Fletcher. This week we're in downtown LA for the Women's March. We're going to talk to some ladies and some guys. We're going to see what's going on and see what the day is all about.
Let me preface this. Downtown L.A. is not a big of a freak show, is Hollywood, which is just north of downtown.
Okay. I'm glad you said that because people that have never lived there would have they just figure L.A. is L.A. is L.A.
No, North Hollywood or WeHo, West Hollywood, all of that is north of downtown. And it takes a minute to get there. I mean, it's a pretty good drive, traffic, whatnot. But just in general, downtown has different districts, clothing district, jewelry district.
Like Rodeo Drive?
Oh, no, that would be up in Hollywood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that would be up, that would be up in West Hollywood. But downtown has a lot of business district, these things. You can wholesale clothing and wholesale cloth materials and businesses. There are weirdos and people you got to protect yourself from. But generally, all the nut jobs are up on the north side in Hollywood. Well, for a march like this, expect them all to come downtown. That's all I'm saying.
Kyle Kashev is here.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? We're going to have a great time today.
Kyle.
And we have merch. This is, what's the show this is from again? Handmaid's Tale. What brings you here today? What's the overarching theme of the Women's March?
Listen, to celebrate all the women in my life. I have a company and 16 employees, majority women, and it's, love my mother. We got to support our women.
You pay yourself a little more than that?
No.
Of course not. Of course not. It's illegal to do that.
Exactly.
Very cool.
It's illegal.
Cool. What does the sign say and what does it mean?
For every dollar a man makes, a woman makes 50 cents. But, since we got up from the elevator, everyone's been telling us that's wrong. That's actually 36 cents now. And these are men and women telling us this. So
So if every dollar a man makes, a woman makes 36 cents?
That is correct.
Women get paid 73 cents on the dollar compared to their male counterparts.
To be fair, isn't that just comparing median income of men versus median income from women? Because women straight out of college and women who are in the workforce for years who aren't married and have children make more than men. Does that kind of play a role, or do you think that's relevant?
Oh, wow.
It could be relevant, but what I think is that in usually the male-dominated workforce, there is a...
He just got...
It is a women's march. It should encompass, it sounds like, all women. Why are we not seeing many conservative women here today?
Here we go.
Because Trumpettes have a defect in their brain. They don't know how to do math or logic.
What?
How could you vote against your own gender and your own right to have the same rights as everybody else in this country?
Hold on.
How could you possibly say that there's something wrong with your brain?
The leader of our country said he grabs people like me by the pussy, which is like really...
I don't think you meant people like you. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you at the next one.
I've seen... Oh, sorry. That was
It's Flecka Talks. Flecka.
I've seen... Sorry about that.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I like the editing is great.
Yes, absolutely. So a man says that Donald Trump is going to grab him by the posse.
He's submitting something there, isn't he?
He is showing his hand.
A little bit too much soy. I think he's showing more than his hand. He's showing a little bit more than his hand. So you're voting. If you're a woman out there listening, you just learned that you are voting illogically, against the logic of voting for your own gender, your own kind. Is that logical? Doesn't seem very logical to me. I don't know. That's weird. That's really weird.
Extremely weird.
Yeah, I mean, it was emotional. She was actually saying it backwards. She thought she was making the argument that emotion is logic. That's actually a great segue from the video you had before, which is basically saying the same thing. That emotion is reality. What emotion is real. What I feel, what my brain reacts to in an emotional way is real, and logic is just trying to trip you up. Facts, things that happen that are factual. That's just there to distract from the reality of my emotions.
Right. Because
you learn something on
my emotions
Smith
are
Radio.
real. My emotions are real. Don't you dare go against my emotions.
Yeah.
If I feel like Trump's a liar, that's real.
Yeah.
Because I feel it. Feel it.
Because it's one degree of separation from spirit. She did
say that. Oh, man.
Yes, she did.
So with that being said, why are these people, we're going to say for the last half hour, we're going to save the wall and Trump. But with that being said, riddle me this. Isn't this kind of how the Democrats dumb down the people to be able to do an overthrow? I'm just speculating, like a Venezuela. I mean, if you keep people that dumb and you allow me to lie to you, and we're going to get into the Hugo Chavez lie. Folks, I got a video for you from Vox.
Oh, really?
Vox did a docu something or other on Venezuela.
They come out with these videos. How long is it? Because a lot of times they come out with like 8-minute videos, 7-minute videos.
Yeah, I cut it down. I just cut the first.
No, I mean, how much was the original? Because I actually follow them. They come out with these great, entertaining videos that are pure, unadulterated
10 minutes,
propaganda.
Pure. Well, I had to get this because
it was accurate.
It was true.
All right, I guess Vox is coming around.
It was true.
This,
it's older, but it reveals some things. And there was media out this week that was saying because Donald Trump sided with the new the opposition party to communism, socialism, and Maduro. So Donald Trump came out with support for the new opposition party, Guaido, and said that we recognize him as the real president and not Maduro.
That's big.
So big that it like ripped the time continuum, and the 1.21 gigawatts
20 years
kind of cracked.
Yeah, like 30, 40, 50 years from now in the history books, if they're going to try to be accurate at all, this is something that's going to be in the history book.
That's a turning point. Then other governments around the world started to agree with Donald Trump. Dude, when leaders do what leaders do, they take bold steps against evil. Mm-hmm. And when other leaders see that, they follow. And that's what happened.
Yeah, and I have a friend that I work with that is a refugee from Venezuela.
Refugee?
As far as I can tell. He's like, I had a bunch of land there and I had to flee.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
Yeah, the guy's really cool guy. Seems very smart. A little bit older. He's got to be maybe about 50-ish. And so he's been there for a long time. I have to ask him more about his background, but I asked him about what happened with this leadership change in Venezuela, and he was so excited. He said they're getting rid of those damn communists.
Did he call them communists?
Oh yeah, he said the Maduro regime is pure communist in the same vein as the Chavez,
right?
And that this is basically an overthrow of communism, and he's excited about Trump backing him. And he's excited about the rest of Europe, or a lot of other European nation leaders backing this new one. And I said, well, you concerned about the fact that Maduro has ordered the arrest of this guy? I mean, this is going to get pretty ugly, isn't it? And he's like, he thinks it's going to work out. He's praying for it. And I said, are you going to go back and visit? He's like, oh, I really feel like I'm going to go back one day and visit my family. He left his whole family there, and he had to abandon all of his properties. And I said, well, let me ask you this. You're here in America right now. Were you ever planning on going back to Venezuela if this never happened? He said, oh, no. No, they don't want me there. They don't want me there. He had left for all intents and purposes, for all he knows in his mind, for the rest of his entire life. He was never going to see his family again unless they were able to flee too.
Wow.
So,
well, not only that, but if he could, I'm not saying this is what he's doing, but if he comes up here and makes $10, $12, $13 an hour minimum wage, whatever it is, live a frugal, very, very frugal lifestyle, maybe rent a tenement or some sort of whatever, he could send back $25 a week. It would be
intercepted. He can't do anything.
Oh, okay.
He has to be.
I was going to say that would be big
I think
money.
the best he can do is periodically message back either through the internet or whatever. Maybe do FaceTime so he can still communicate with him. But as far as he knew, he's never going to see him again outside of them leaving. But now he's looking forward to going back. And it's weird to know about this guy being a landowner and having to leave all that, because now he's just like doing manual labor for a decent wage. And it's like, gosh, this guy was probably like he could have been somebody important in Venezuela. I didn't want to get too much into his personal life.
Could have been a contender.
I'm saying he probably was
a contender.
And here he has to come to America, and you know what? He's just thrilled to be here. Well, he's thrilled to have escaped.
Well, just like South Africa with their apartheid. Ripping land from white landowners, farmers, killing, raping, pillaging, and that won't end well either. But back to Venezuela.
Yeah.
Vice President Mike Pence, who is an incredible, folks, out of all the deep state and out of all the politicians, out of all the things that have gone wrong with Donald Trump in the sense that everybody's trying to overthrow him at one point in time, you can say without a shadow of a doubt, Vice President Mike Pence has been an incredible compliment to Donald Trump. I mean, can I say that? Just been an absolute incredible compliment to Trump.
And can you give me some examples of what makes it so perfect? Because, like, I'm thinking in my head, Trump is like he basks as the center of attention type person, as opposed to both Bush and Obama seemed to be like Obama liked to get attention, but he was okay just sitting at home at the couch and watching TV or whatever. Trump is like, I got to see my people, and he really soaks it in, and he'll do 5 different things. Whereas Pence is like, oh, you want to be in the spotlight? Oh,
I'm good.
By all means, sure. Go ahead. Go. Hey, I'm fine over here.
I'm your wing. I'm your wingman.
Right. I'm fine over here.
So he tweets out. This is a good wingman. Tweets out today. POTUS announced that the United States officially recognizes Juan Guaido as the interim president of Venezuela. To J. Guaido and the people of Venezuela, America stands with you, and we will continue to stand with you until #Libertad is restored and Donald Trump retweeted that with a quote, "The citizens of Venezuela have suffered far too long at the hands of the illegitimate Maduro, who was a bus driver."
Yeah, come on. That's not a reason. If you watch...
Community organizer or bus driver.
Hold on a second. Tony Montana. Tony Montana started as a dishwasher in the movie. Not real life.
But he became a drug dealer. That's a bad example.
No, I'm saying, but he rose to the top.
As a thug, murderous drug dealer.
But he started as a dishwasher.
He started as a union bus driver.
What are you saying, that Maduro's not a thug?
Oh, no, he is.
Well, then that was
He's a murderous thug.
Well, then it was a perfect analogy.
Well, I'm making fun of him for being a bus driver.
All right. Okay.
So, I got sidetracked.
Sorry.
So, Maduro regime. Today, I have officially recognized the president of Venezuelan National Assembly, Juan Guaidó, as the interim president of Venezuela.
And people freaked out. They said, we should not be doing this.
Markets kicked up in Venezuela,
which is great.
Businesses started to embrace the fact that, we're going to turn the corner here, maybe.
Well, think about it. If my buddy is already talking about how he thinks he's going to be visiting his family in Venezuela again, if you're a savvy, risk-taking investor, you would want to get in at the ground floor. I'd be dumping all kinds of money in that market.
Yeah, if you've got what's that called when you got expendable money, when you've got
disposable income.
Yeah, you got some laying around, if you're a high risk taker, take it. But anyway, so here's what's going on in Venezuela right now, though. It's a 4-minute clip, but it's very critical that you watch this, because this is from the left-wing propaganda that is Vox, V-O-X, which is a fake outlet, and Rush Limbaugh describes them as a bunch of kids over there, that money was thrown at them to create something.
So this is an oldie, but has aged well.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Unbelievable.
Well, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. All right, so let's get this rolling. There we go.
Todos estos meses, todo el tiempo de marcha por mi familia, por la comida, por el pueblo.
Siempre.
For those audio only, I'm going to read for you the things that they're saying. It says, I will always be on the streets, fighting for my kids' freedom.
La violencia,
the violence of the government.
La violencia del AMPA. Todo eso son razones para
Those are all the reasons to go out and protest the violence of the government. To defend your rights and aspire to be a Venezuelan.
Venezuela was once the richest country in Latin America. It has the largest known oil reserves in the world, and its democratic government was once praised worldwide. But today, Venezuela's democratic institutions and its economy are in shambles. The country has the highest inflation rate in the world, making food and medicine inaccessible to most Venezuelans. Over the last 4 years, its GDP has fallen 35%, which is a sharper drop than the one seen during the Great Depression in the U.S., and the country's murder rate has surpassed that of the most dangerous cities in the world. These conditions have sparked months of protests against the president, Nicolas Maduro, and it's easy to see why. The country has become measurably worse since his election in 2013. A poll showed that about 80% of Venezuelans want Maduro removed from office. But instead, the opposite has happened. Maduro has consolidated his power, bringing the country closer to authoritarian rule. Maduro's political ambition became evident in December 2015. 2 years after he became president, a coalition of opposition parties called the Democratic Unity Roundtable, or MUD, won a 2/3 majority in the National Assembly, putting...
Okay, so MUD is the conservative part that won 2/3 of the assembly, while Maduro's people lost.
Maduro's rule at risk. In response, Maduro quickly forced out several Supreme Court justices and filled the positions with cronies loyal to him.
So he then took over the entire Supreme Court to then change and rewrite laws.
In March 2016, the court ruled to strip the opposition-led National Assembly of its powers, a move that sparked massive protests across the country. The ruling was reversed a few days later, but the damage was done. Protests continue to grow and have left about 100 dead and thousands injured so far. Despite the violence and public outcry, Maduro held a vote in July to elect a new governing body called the National Constituent Assembly, which would have the power to rewrite Venezuela's constitution and essentially replace the National Assembly and leave virtually no opposition to Maduro's rule. With Maduro's recent vote, Venezuelans didn't have a say in whether the assembly should exist. They only had the option to elect its members. But when Maduro's predecessor, Hugo Chavez, proposed a constitutional rewrite in 1999, he first called for a referendum to propose the election of the assembly. After most Venezuelans voted yes, they then elected a new National Constituent Assembly.
Okay, so Hugo Chavez said, hey, we need a new constitutional assembly to be convened. What do you say about that? And everybody's like, oh, yeah, that's great. That's great. So they did it, and then he puts his people in.
See, unlike Maduro, Chavez was a charismatic and beloved leader. In the 90s, he burst onto television sets across the country. He blamed government corruption and Venezuela's elite for the economic inequality. His populist message resonated with the country's poor, who eventually helped bring him to power. The key moment in his presidency came in 2004 when oil prices surged. Venezuela's petroleum-dependent economy started booming, and Chavez went on to spend billions from the profits on social welfare programs for the poor. He
That's where you buy the people for life. Give them the money.
Subsidized food, improved the educational system, built an enviable healthcare system, and reduced poverty by more than half. These programs certainly helped the poor, but they served a purpose for Chavez as well. In order to be re-elected, he needed to keep these millions of poor Venezuelans happy, so he rigged the economy to do just that. He didn't scale back Venezuela's dependence on oil, and his unrestrained spending led to a growing deficit, which meant all these programs would be impossible to sustain if oil prices fell. Right. After Chavez's death, when Maduro took office as his handpicked successor, that's exactly what happened. Oil prices plummeted in 2014, and Maduro failed to adjust. Hyperinflation has made medicines and food that were once subsidized unaffordable for Venezuelans.
For you that are listening audio only, they're showing video clips of the streets in Venezuela, and it really looks like a bombed-out war zone.
Right.
Who now make up about 82% of the population.
Oh, okay. I guess that's all I had. So that's the big thing about Venezuela and how that happened. Hugo Chavez definitely, absolutely, without a doubt, hardcore socialist, wanted to move to communism. If he'd have lived, he'd have stayed in power for as long as he lived. The fact that he died so young of cancer that George Bush gave him. That's what he told. That's what he told me.
People get cancer. That doesn't mean that
I was watching when Hugo Chavez took the stage at the UN right after George Bush and said, "Can you smell the sulfur?"
Yeah. We were not happy about that.
The devil just walked out of here.
Yeah.
and then after he said that George Bush came to cancer. But the whole thing is that this dictatorous, murderous regime, the insanity that you can rig this system in this fashion is exactly what the Democrats are advocating right now. This is what the Democrats are advocating for, and they're going to try and spin it and tell you, but they didn't do it right in Venezuela.
They always do that.
They didn't do it right.
What is it, the saying that socialism hasn't been faithfully executed?
No.
It has been faithfully executed.
Yes.
That's why it didn't work. It didn't work in the Soviet Union. It's not working in Cuba. It didn't work anywhere. And by the way, places like Vietnam, the reason Vietnam is not doing too bad anymore, by the way, I have a family member that's been living there for almost 10 years. He married a woman from there, and they live there right now. It's embraced a lot of capitalism. They've departed from full-blown communism and started to embrace capitalist features for their economy, and so they're not living in total poverty.
Right. So 5 failed socialist promises from Lenin all the way to Chavez. 1918, Lenin promised peace, bread, and land. Lenin, for all intents and purposes, was installed at the Russian Revolution, installed by the globalist Woodrow Wilson, working together in convention with the British and Germans, allowed it to happen, creating the USSR. No.
I don't know.
I can't think of the guy's name that was working with him, but they wrapped them all up, got them out of America, got them out of New York, sent them to Canada, then to Britain, united the two of them together, and then off to the Russian Revolution they went and created the USSR, which is responsible for murdering tons of people.
Should we get into the top 10 most evil dictators of all time?
Hold on. We got to get the 5 failed socialist promises.
Oh, okay.
So that was the one, Lenin. They always promise you peace, bread, and land. Peace, food, and land. That never happens. 1947, Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first prime minister. He was the first prime minister right after the Britain released their hold on India. And he promises the end of poverty.
Of course he does.
Come on, man. Benjamin Franklin has said it best. He said, if you want to end poverty, make it as extremely uncomfortable to live in as possible. Make it so painful to be in poverty that people won't want to be there. 1956, Mao Zedong promises open discussion, Kerry.
Open discussion? Of what?
We promised.
That almost sounds like what the leftists are saying. Like when Obama, people forget about this, but people in America, at least they were convinced that there was too much secrecy in government. There was too much behind closed doors, the smoke-filled rooms type of stuff. And Obama actually promised, this almost seems unbelievable today now that we had 8 years of Obama, that he promised transparency in government. That he actually, I don't think he said the exact words, but I know for a fact he made everybody believe that they were just going to have like this open database that people would be able to log into and see every single thing that the government's doing. Like he tricked everybody into thinking that he was just going to make everything open source.
It is, Kerry, it is.
So you're saying that back in 56, Mao promised an open discussion. And that did not happen.
Yeah, open discussion did not happen. 1959, Fidel Castro promises freedom of the press. Fidel Castro, freedom of the press. You have the freedom of the press as long as you write what I tell you to write, and if you don't, you might wind up dead. 1999, Hugo Chavez promises universal medical care. Oh, how about that? How did that work out? And now the top 10 most evil dictators of all time in order of kill count. And like I said, I only have 6 because the other ones are just not important at this point in time to make my point. But coming in at number 8, Kim Il-sung. Kim Il-sung is the father of Kim Il-un, and the dad, his grandfather was Kim Il-sung. So the hierarchy, USSR put in North Korea, Kim Il-sung. He died. His son took over, Kim Il-sung, and then he died, and now we got Kim Jong-un. Okay, with that being said, the father, Kim Il-sung, responsible for 1.6 million deaths in his country. Coming in at number 7, a close 2.5 million deaths for Pol Pot in Cambodia. If anybody remembers the movie The Killing Fields, I had a hairstylist out in Long Beach, California, that I got my hair cut by her for the 10 years that I was living out there. I would go to her once a month, and she spoke such broken English, but after a couple of years, we actually developed our own little language, and I knew exactly what she was saying. And it struck me as funny because after about 5 years, my brother came out and he was dumbfounded. He's like, "Do you know what she just said?" I said, "Yeah, you didn't understand? She's speaking English." But I started to learn what she said. So she told me about her escape from Cambodia in the time of Pol Pot, where they took away her father in the middle of the night. She never saw her father again. They took her brothers in the middle of the night. She never saw her brothers again. She would, her and her girlfriends, whatever age, young age, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, whatever age, they would purposely, in the morning when they put their clothes on purposely, their mothers would tell them to go outside. They would go outside and put mud and dirt all over them so as not to be taken as a sex slave by one of the military, the regime, or whatever. You could be taken away. She told me that the movie the killing fields is a cartoon compared to what really, really, truly happened.
Wow.
And
So
her
they
trek out of Cambodia.
Wow. So they kind of rose-colored glass that thing, huh?
As bad as it was, she obviously scarred for life, and it took years for her. I mean, she was old. I mean, she was an older lady, and it took her years and years to even talk about it. And I was just so fascinated with her stories. Every time she would just tell me something, and it almost seemed like therapy for her to talk about these things. But Pol Pot, 2.5 million in Cambodia. Hideki Tojo.
These are capitalists, right?
Yes. All these are these are all capitalist pigs, folks.
No.
That's a joke. That's a joke.
They're all communists.
Right. Hideki Tojo, the Japanese prime minister during World War II, responsible for 5 million. They went through China with bayonet and literally attempted to take over all of China.
Now, they weren't necessarily communists, but everybody knew about imperial Japanese, how they wanted to spread and just enlarge their geographical country.
At all cost, whatever. And so then next, that was number 5. Coming in at number 3, Adolf Hitler. They're saying that he's responsible for 17 million in World War II, and you're like, whoa. There's like 20 million Jews gassed and this and that. These are just the numbers of that were put out. A lot of Jews that were murdered and killed. USSR did that. You got the whole communist regime that was involved in the gas chambers as well with Jews in Russia. No good. A lot of Russians died. But no, Adolf Hitler is saying responsible for 17 million during World War II. Coming in at number 2, like I was saying, Russia, Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin at 23 million. The great purges of the Ukraine famine.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't beat your opposition, starve them out.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what he did. And number 1, we mentioned his name in the earlier poll, and number 1 coming in at clear number 1, Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong responsible. His policy, listen to this. This does not sound like something the Democrats would say. Policy reforms like the Great Leap Forward and Cultural Revolution. Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution.
That was the name of his reform.
Yes, the Great Leap Forward. So you hear, isn't that what she said?
Forward, progressive. They use all these crazy words that mean the opposite of what they are. I was listening to a Candace Owens video. Actually, it was a Vice video that featured Candace Owens. And she said, you got to watch out for the way that the leftists speak, the words that they use. And she used the example of Planned Parenthood. Sounds great.
We're going to help you plan your parenting.
I want to plan my parenthood. That sounds great. Where do I sign up? And she points out they're just an abortion mill. They're killing babies.
Oh, I didn't mean to. I wanted to be a parent. I didn't want to rip my baby out my uterus. I didn't want that. Come on.
Somebody pointed out that Pol Pot was the worst dictator via deaths per capita.
Yes, I agree. Mm-hmm. I will agree. However, Mao clears them all. Mao responsible. Some are saying the numbers. Now remember, second place Joseph Stalin's 23 million. Some are saying the lowest possible numbers for Mao is somewhere around 40 to 50 million.
Million? Not billion.
Not billion.
That'd be a couple of Earths worth of people.
Right. No, Mao, some as low as 45 to 50 million, and some are putting it up. Conservatives are putting it up somewhere close to 78 million. Some say higher. Mao, absolutely one of the worst dictators. Folks, this is the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
The Democrat Party wants nothing but power and money.
I mean, when it boils down to it, if you look at what – and by the way, Nazi Germany was absolutely socialist, the same kind of socialist that the Democrat Party is here in America, the same kind of socialist that ran the Soviet Union, that killed millions and millions of people. And by the way, you give us numbers for Joseph Stalin. But it wasn't just Joseph Stalin. Sure, he ramped it up and all that kind of stuff, so he was obviously bad. But you have to put the numbers for the ideology, which would be the full Soviet Union from 1918 all the way to 1990, those numbers should be compiled.
Right.
And you can add to it all the numbers, like you say, Kim Il-sung.
Right.
He was the first dictator and killed a lot of people, but you got to add his son and his grandson, and a lot of people say his grandson is going to reform everything thanks to his Western upbringing his love for Donald Trump and all this kind of stuff. Maybe even under Donald Trump leadership, since he's kind of a father figure to him.
And they're renegotiating right now. They're in more talks.
But certainly you could put his father and his grandfather into one North Korean killing area.
Right.
And so really it's not about the people as much as it is the system. It's like a systemic extermination system.
No, you're absolutely
a little redundant there, but
absolutely correct. So with that being said, we've also got some things that are happening around the world. Breaking: Islam explodes a church. This was really bad. This just happened. 20 dead as bombs target Sunday Mass in the Philippine cathedral. Religionofpeace.com. Religionofpeace.com. Follow that if you want the Jihad report. January 19th through the 25th. So we're talking 6 days of January, the first this year, 2019. There were 28 attacks by Islam, 135 people killed by Islam, 171 people injured by Islam, suicide blasts, there were 6. This happened in 12 different countries, all in 6 days. We talked about how Islam parallels and is identical to communism. Different words, same meaning, same end result. Enslaving of the people. Trevor Loudon, The Enemies Within. The Enemies Within or Enemies Within?
I think it's...
Damn it.
Whatever.
I'll look at it. So anyway, Trevor Loudon wrote the book, interviewed him, we talked about it, and he put all the pieces together for us. And absolutely, Islam and communism, same thing. So when we see this Islamic jihad around the world, and we see worshipers of Islam being elected to government official positions, there is a major, major problem because their religion cannot coexist with any other society, any other religion, any other persons in the world. And for the last hundreds of years since Islam has come about, everywhere Islam has been implemented, Christians have been removed, murdered, and killed. Islam takes over the entire country and moves through like a cancer. Same thing as communism.
He has 2 different books, it looks like. The first one's called Barack Obama and the Enemies Within.
Okay.
And the second one is The Enemies Within, Communists, Socialists, and Progressives in the U.S. Congress.
There's a video on that and on the YouTubes. Mm-hmm. The video shows every one of those elected officials that are beholden to this Democrats, DSA, Democrat Socialists of America, DSA.
Democratic. They're trying to say Democratic Socialists of America. What they're basically saying is we're not going to kill a bunch of people in a revolution in order to implement our communism. We're going to use the propaganda arm of the Democrat Party in order to brainwash you into electing communists into position.
Andrew Gillum. That sound familiar?
Yeah, it does sound familiar.
Florida. Andrew Gillum. This by Pamela Geller. Florida Commission finds probable cause to investigate Andrew Gillum for ethics violations. Gillum is very close to terror-tied jihad group CAIR, C-A-I-R, and has aligned himself with several prominent anti-Semitic organizations known for promoting boycotts.
Well, there you go.
I'm just saying. So we've got them. They're all there. This newest one. They came out against the Catholic schoolboys. It's just unbelievable how people can be duped into believing.
I mean, we've said this a lot on our show, where the default initial reaction to anything coming out of mainstream media, even if you see video evidence, has got to be, where is the part where they're lying to me? That should always be the first thing that should come to your mind is, okay, they're definitely lying to me. Let's see if we can discover where. And you should spend at least 24 hours of not just your own due diligence, but also look at what other people are discovering. That's the beauty of the internet, is that somebody will find something somewhere. It's like that guy that punched I guess it was Richard Spencer.
Yeah.
He punched him with a giant box wrench in his arm.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And come to find out, the guy has videos of himself hiring prostitutes to defecate on him.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
Wasn't he a CPA? He was a CPA, and he put it up there, and they showed his employer and who he works with.
That just goes to show you that the internet will find
you.
It will find everything. Yeah. So just sit back, relax. If you think it's bad news, if you see evidence like a video or audio where it just looks kind of bad or even devastating, say, hold on. You gotta say, okay, I know they're lying somewhere. I know the narrative is being spun here using falsified evidence. And it was. The video was falsified by omission. They used a little clip and tried to tell you what you were seeing. And so many people.
It doesn't work anymore.
So many people it worked like a charm. Yeah. But people like us, and by the way, I mean, Smith Radio comes out smelling like a rose on this. I don't mean to slap people around. 2 big news items that came out this week was the CovCath thing and the reopening of the government.
Which we're getting ready to go right now.
Smith Radio got both of those right so well. I mean, this is what you should be listening to.
As we change gears, we shift gears. The 2016 Smith Radio calendars, tribute to one of the greatest presidents we've ever had, Donald J. Trump. Get your calendar, go over to SmithTV.com.
And share right now. Right now, you should be sharing this video.
Hit the share.
If you shared it before, you could share it again because there's people at this time. Yep.
Yeah, when you go to hit the share and it shows the timeline, share from this time. Mm-hmm. Share from this time because we're now going to play Donald J. Trump. I got a 1.5-minute clip. This is important for you guys to hear what Donald Trump said in his speech. I took the beginning and I clipped it and I took the end. It's only 18 minutes long. If you want to listen to the whole thing, if you haven't heard it, I suggest you do. But the beginning and then his summary, that's pretty much what you need to hear. And this is Donald Trump's speech this week about the wall.
My fellow Americans, I am very proud to announce today that we have reached a deal to end the shutdown and reopen the federal government. We cannot protect and deliver these blessings without a strong and secure border. I believe that crime in this country can go down by a massive percentage if we have great security on our southern border. I believe drugs, large percentages of which come through the southern border, will be cut by a number that nobody will believe. So let me be very clear. We really have no choice but to build a powerful wall or steel barrier. If we don't get a fair deal from Congress, the government will either shut down on February 15th again, or I will use the powers afforded to me under the laws and the Constitution of the United States to address this emergency. We will have great security, and I want to thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
Hold on now, watch. Watch as they're screaming at him. They want him.
Did somebody say, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What?
So he laid out the whole case of why he needs the wall. The whole case for it. Talked about the rape, talked about the murder, talked about women being wrapped up in duct tape and sold into slavery.
Yeah,
he got graphic with it.
It was really well done. He pointed out why we need the wall, why immigration is so important, why when he declares a national emergency, why that will be necessary, and also why it is necessary for Congress to come up with some sort of solution that's going to fund a wall, border security, whether I always said that a wall cannot be or should not be or maybe impossible to go the full 2,000 miles, even if you have the money to do it, because of the fact that there's a river across not a vast majority of it, but a majority of our border is a river. So I would say big, strong, tall, robust wall from the Rio Grande all the way to the ocean.
Right.
I'm all for that.
And so then Donald Trump tweeted out an NBC video clip where it shows illegals crossing the border, making his point why we need the border wall. There was also a video clip of a guy on the border saying, see, look. And he climbed underneath the fence. He's like, look, I'm in Mexico right now.
He said, welcome to Mexico.
Right. So his famous line this week, he coined it, build a wall and crime will fall. He trolled the Democrats all week long with that theme. He tweeted out, this is the new theme for 2 years until the wall is finished. Under construction now of the Republican Party. Use it and pray. So with that being said, the Republicans have come out and said that we support Donald Trump 100% in the situation. The BBC is reporting that Nancy Pelosi said Democrats do the Lord's work and Republicans dishonor God.
What? Who said that?
Nancy Pelosi.
She's a weirdo. Didn't she also say, was it her that said we need to take away yachts from people?
Yeah, that was Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, Elizabeth Warren. I don't know. They all kind of melt together. Your Feinsteins, your Warrens,
right.
your Pelosi's, they all just kind of melt together into one.
I mean, they keep saying the same talking points over and over again.
Oh yeah, they're NPCs. Yeah, absolutely.
So at Slacker_GA01, that might be a slacker in Georgia for all I know. But
Georgia 01, yeah, that's Atlanta area, I think.
Yeah, just give a shout out. He tweeted, this individual, I will not gender identify, tweeted out, Congress's nonpartisan research arm says Trump could have DOD build a wall without state of emergency or congressional approval. Turns out there really is more than one way to skin a cat.
Okay.
At POTUS Build the Wall, this has gone around. Everybody's talking about demon rats.
Actually, that one just says Democrats where RATS is capitalized so you can see the rats portion.
But people are calling them demon rats.
I've seen that too.
Demon rats will not work with you.
They won't. He's absolutely right. Or she. It. What? Mm-hmm. Hold on. We can't say it. Oh!
Shim.
Sorry.
Shim. It covers him and she.
I thought it was Z. Z?
Oh, Z.
So Z said, no, the thing is the Democrats have already staked out their strategy, and they're not going to come off of it. Nancy Pelosi is certainly not going to come off of this strategy, and the strategy is no matter what the political punishment to us is, we can prevent Donald Trump from getting reelected in 2020 if we can go into it saying, you see, America, he lied to you.
Liars.
He said he was going to build the wall. He promised you a wall, and look at it. He didn't get his wall. Why? Because he's a liar. That's exactly what they're going to do.
And when he circumvents all of this, watch. They may go full-blown nuts and say, see? He couldn't get his wall built without having to do it illegally. Look, he couldn't get that. Telling on themselves for not working with him.
That's if he can get through all the lawsuits, because you know what's going to happen. They already have this already staked out. I've already seen the tweets of high blue checkmark lawyers who are like, national emergency. Wait until the judge that we've picked out gets a hold of that. So they're gonna stop it the same way they tried to stop the travel ban. using some obscure, unknown federal judge in Hawaii or somewhere in Oregon or something that's going to dictate to the entire country what our laws are going to be and what kind of protection we get to have as citizens of the United States of America, depending on our federal government, for if nothing else,
I want to choose my own protection.
For nothing else, provide for the common defense. And so we have one obscure little judge that happens to have a Fed next to his name. He's a federal judge. He's some little guy who lives in some apartment somewhere. It's like, hey, you 330 million Americans, you can't have that kind of security.
Just like that judge and professor out in Arizona that happens to be connected to the Clintons one way or another. In January of 2016, declared that Ted Cruz could run as president of the United States because he's legit. You remember when he said that? We saw it. We saw that on the Google.
It boils down to one person here, one person there, just one obscure person that happens to have the correct title that dictates everything in America. So anyway, the point is when he does the national emergency, that's going to be tied up in courts for a long time because it's going to have to go through the process of appeal after appeal after appeal, working its way up. It'll probably be a Supreme Court thing. But here's the thing you need to know, because I've thought this through dynamically. For some reason, I have this unique gift of thinking things through the way they actually happen. So I will divulge that with you. Once Donald Trump had closed the government for longer than anybody else. And so right now, I'm using the wrong language. Once Donald Trump has pretty much forced Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to shut the government down for longer than anybody else by not agreeing to a spending bill that does not include the only thing that Americans wanted when they elected Donald Trump, right? And he did it for longer than ever. He agreed to open it up temporarily for 21 days because the Democrats claimed that the only way they can even consider negotiating for funding for a wall is after the government's open. So he's going to open it for 21 days to facilitate for that. And once they fail to fund the wall, which they will, they will fail.
They will not come to an agreement.
The Democrats will fail. Hey, this will age well. What I'm saying right now, so let it be written, so let it be done. This will age well. The Democrats will not fund a wall, or if they do, it'll be so insufficient. It will not get a wall built, okay? Once that happens after 21 days, Donald Trump is either A, going to shut the government back down, which I tend to think that other things will be associated with that. He will declare a national emergency, and he may declare a national emergency and close the government down. He could do both. Or he could declare the national emergency and say, you know what, let's just extend this and allow the government to stay open. But I am declaring a national emergency. The Democrats will then shut down the national emergency, which we all know is for the sole purpose of building a wall with the national emergency funds. Once that all happens, the American people will then accept from Donald Trump, and I do truly believe this, that he did literally everything humanly possible to get his wall built, which means the wall was stopped solely by the Democrats. You cannot label Donald Trump failing to commit to his promise of building a wall after he did all that.
I'm the smartest guy I know. Don't touch the hair.
I'm trying to get him to say the wall.
I'm gonna build a wall.
And you know what? If it gets stopped because of this series of events that I just walked you through, I don't think the American people are going to fault him for that.
No!
I think he can get reelected without a wall, having gone through all these steps, especially if after he declares a national emergency and they tie it up in a court with some obscure liberal activist judge who's going to legislate for 350 million American citizens by himself from his apartment. I think the American people are going to be like, damn it, this is being This is obstruction of legislation.
See, I know those Republicans or those conservatives, those Tea Party guys were talking about a coup. Holy smoke. I can see the coup already. At Red Pill Report, illegal alien living in Texas sentenced to prison for voting in 2016 election using fake ID by the gatewaypundit.com. Oh, this is a good one. Texas Attorney General. From the Office of the Attorney General, Texas Secretary of State Office discovers nearly 95,000 non-U.S. citizens are registered to vote in Texas.
By the way, I want to point this out. There's a commenter who he hasn't delved across the red line that I draw where I call somebody a troll and they should be blocked. He's somewhat staying on topic. And I'm so glad you're saying this right now, Brian, because he's like, hey guys, think about it. How do illegals vote?
I'm just saying.
This troll is so poorly timed.
How do they vote? They're registered to vote.
Yeah, and by the way, who taught us that? I can't remember the guest we had on.
I know we didn't say her name.
Well,
Sandy.
No, the man that said that once they're registered. Oh, you're talking about Sandy.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the guy who we had on a long time ago that talked about the way that votes are stolen. The way that we can shore it up and make it fair again. But once they are registered, it's game over.
That's it.
Game over. They can go and vote.
So the hypocrisy of all of this, folks, Donald Trump gets the employees back to work and paid, not Nancy Pelosi, and there's 21 days to negotiate, and then all hell will be to pay. Daily Caller reports in 8 days, $185,000 was spent. Shameful Nancy Pelosi. Pelosi's trip to Italy and the Ukraine from July 30th to August 6th of 2015 cost the Air Force $184,587. She dined at restaurants including James Beard American Restaurant in Milan, where a 5-course meal cost up to $190. These are the people that Donald Trump is to negotiate with. This is the insanity that is our Congress. Hashtag Elizabeth Warren. It's time to fundamentally transform our tax code so it's not rigged for the rich. My plan taxes the wealth of the 75,000 U.S. households with a net worth of over 50 million. Let's demand the top 0.1% pay their fair share and start rebuilding our middle class. Hey, heads up, Nancy Pelosi. Heads up, Elizabeth Warren, and whoever you are. Donald Trump already rebuilt the middle class. I'm just saying. Did you guys hear that for the first time in all of American history, price of prescriptions went down in 2018 because of Donald Trump?
Oh, and I truly will give him credit for all that kind of stuff. His entire
unemployment,
everything he's doing.
Unemployment claims down in 49 years. Most people ever working in the United States in all of the 243, this is our 43rd year, 243 years of history, more people working now than ever before. So many jobs that need to be filled. My wife has not been in the workforce in many years. She is getting calls from the temporary agencies that she'd applied to 3 and 4 years ago. They're calling her now, having never called her before. They're calling her now, asking her to come back in the workforce.
Interesting.
Come on, man. We're living in the greatest times ever. Mm-hmm. And all we can talk about is Russia, and Roger Stone. And the border wall. We need a wall. And the troops. And then we got Andrew Cuomo at the Planned Parenthood killing babies.
It's like the fake bad news is drowning out the real good news. And one thing that I'm actually worried about for 2020, because by then we'll be 4 years into Donald Trump's presidency, is I think people will forget. And we're perfect. We are perfectly timed to show that this is but we're not going to forget. We're not going to forget.
Definitely not.
Because and what I mean by forgetting is how bad it was before Donald Trump took over. Donald Trump was elected in a way that nobody thought was possible because historically it would not have been possible, but he was elected because people were that distraught, where we're going to go ahead and take a chance on a guy with zero experience.
However, he's a businessman.
We're going to do something that we've never done before and elect somebody that's not a governor, a senator, a representative, something, or
military,
a vice president.
Military personnel, generals.
Yeah, and we broke a record there, having done that for the first time since ever. Even Washington was a general.
BuzzFeed story, real quick. This will be the last thing I talk about. BuzzFeed story that came out saying that Cohen is turning on Trump and got all kinds of dirty deeds on Trump and told Mueller about it. Mueller came out and said, no, man, I never said, no, he never said anything like that.
Was that this week? I feel like it was like a million years ago.
Check this out. We got CNN embroiled in what? They're making
news.
us. Well, CNN is complaining that BuzzFeed makes them look like liars.
Wait a minute,
Yeah, watch.
Go ahead.
Boy, I have a different view of the implications of all this. My view is this is the larger message that a lot of people are going to take from this story is that the news media are a bunch of leftist liars who are dying to get the president, and they're willing to lie to do it.
Yes.
Well, I don't think that's true.
Is that different? I mean, that's not.
I'm focused on the media side. Preet's talking about the law enforcement side, but I mean, they're not contradictory. But I just think this is a bad day for us.
Yes.
And there's no. I mean, I don't know, Brian. You seem to disagree a little bit. But I just think, it reinforces every bad stereotype about the news media.
Stelter looks like such a tool. He's like Ned Beatty in Deliverance.
Yes, absolutely.
I just want to scream at him to squeal like a pig.
Oh, my goodness, folks. This past 3 hours you're going to spend with anybody, anywhere, at any given time and have the most fun anywhere. Go to SmithTV.com and get your 2019 calendars.
Patreon.com/SmithRadio.
Just go to the website. Everything's there. All kinds of videos, new updates on videos that are out there. Donald Trump's Twitter feed is live right in the middle of the website, so you never miss a tweet. Share us with your friends and family.
See you guys next week.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.